What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, your home for all of the latest and greatest Lions news, updates, analysis, and so much more. We are in full swing of Lions training camp, and that means we have a lot of things to talk about. We have guys that are making a name for themselves early in the first couple of days of training camp. We have a couple people that maybe have some, ground to make up at some point in time, and there's just so much more to actually talk about when it comes down to Lions training camp. I'm your host, Miko. You can find me over at Twitter at the Miko Scott. Joined once again by my amazing co-host, returning from vacation and looking way more rested. And I'm kind of jealous that you've gotten to enjoy a little bit of a vacation. Senior editor over here at prideofdetroit.com, Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Ryan, how are you doing, my guy?
I'm doing well, Miko. Thank you for welcoming me back to the show. I'm looking forward to talking training camp because football's real, actually real.
Yeah, that's exactly how I've been feeling the last couple of days of just watching every single breakdown that Jeremy and Eric and Al have basically been doing after training camp. Is everything just feels more real, which is a great time to kind of plug in the fact that if you don't have PODD, what are you doing? What are you doing with your summer? What are you doing? That $50 can't be that. Well, actually, it probably could be that valuable. Gas is ridiculous right now, so I take that back. If you're not subscribed, it's probably because of gas prices. That's probably a fair assumption. But Jeremy Reisman is here to actually help provide a lot of that context. So even if you don't have Pride of Detroit Direct, which you should still check it out if you can, he's here to kind of give us a little bit more insight into training camp. Jeremy Reisman, editor-in-chief over at prideofdetroit.com, at Detroit Online over there on Twitter. Jeremy, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a busy few days here. Another busy week ahead here. Recording this on Monday night after the first padded practice. And prideofdetroit.com/subscribe if you want to be a PODD subscriber.
I've been enjoying, just to talk about PODD a little bit more, I've been enjoying looking at the comments of the video of that people have been leaving on those. And there's so many people that I've been seeing that have been talking about how it's some of the best money they spent this time of year. Yeah. It's not saying that you don't get your value the rest of the year, but this is the time when you really get to see the value of PODD. So I've been seeing a lot of people talk about that. A lot of people it's their first time subscribing to PODD during training camp, and they're just kind of blown away. So kudos to you, Eric and Al, for everything that you guys have been kind of putting out these last few days.
Appreciate that, man. It's a labor of love because training camp is always my favorite time of year. It's my favorite time of year when I wasn't working in the business and was just a fan and reading everyone's observations that I possibly could. It's my favorite time covering the team too, because we have kind of unlimited access to practice. We get unlimited access to the players. It's just a wealth of information after months and months of really just speculating and list casting. And it's my favorite time of year. And so me taking 45 minutes to an hour out of every day to just talk about what I just saw on the field is awesome. I love doing it, and I'll never stop doing it if there's always a market for it.
That's awesome. Well, you get to do it for another hour, it's an hour in the podcast. It's probably going to be pushing 2 hours over here on the live stream. But let's go ahead and jump into it because there is a lot to kind of break down. But let's start in the same area where you guys kind of do start with the PODD breakdowns, which is let's start with injuries, because I think there have been so many practices that have kind of gone on over these last few days that probably some people have probably had a little bit of trouble of keeping up with, okay, who's injured, who's going to be missing time, who's coming back. I think there's just a lot to kind of unpack right there.
Yeah, it's juggling timelines. There's injuries every day. Sometimes a player's back, but they're not all the way back. And so, I think there are a lot of things to talk about, but I think the best injury news we've gotten all week, and I want to start with is Brian Branch, because when I asked him a question in the spring, he's like, I don't know, let's say Thanksgiving. He'll come back late November, and then stop asking me about it. And that seemed like a reasonable timeline for him, right? With an Achilles, goes on the PUP, misses the first 4 games, maybe starts practicing on October, starts playing in November. That seemed like a reasonable timeline. And then lo and behold, kind of shockingly, he's like, yeah, we might see Brian Branch at the end of training camp. We might see him in early September on the practice field. It's that moves his timeline up a full month or more, to a point where he might avoid being on the PUP in the regular season, might actually make the 53-man roster, which means we could see him in the first month of the season, which is probably really more so a 2-month bump in timeline. And to me, that's huge news.
Yeah, Ryan, this was the piece of news, like between that initial update from Dan Campbell at the start of training camp, or within like the first or second day of training camp, when Dan's like, yeah, you might see Brian Branch in September. It was like, oh, so his rehab is going really well. And then we get to practice today and it's like, oh yeah, no, like Brian Branch is like out there doing a little bit of some stuff, like actually working with trainers, actually doing some running. And again, it's a little bit of a plug for PODD. Like I love the comment that you and Eric had, which is like, he looked so good at one point in time that you guys were like, I don't know which Achilles is the bad one.
Right.
It's all good news when it comes to Brian Branch, because I think, Jeremy mentioned if November was the timetable and anything else would have been gravy, well, then we're drowning in gravy in August. when we hear that Brian Branch might be ready to go as soon as week 1. Right? Like that is legitimately on the table. But I do think that we should tread carefully, and the Lions always are very precautious. And I think Brian Branch is a player that they want to have around for a long time. I know we're going to get to another player that we're assuming the Lions want around for quite some time. And hopefully we'll get a contract extension from the 2023 class. But like, I think they view Brian Branch as a very important piece to the puzzle, and they view him as a long-term piece. So there's no rushing Brian Branch back. And I think whenever they get Brian Branch back is awesome, but it definitely sounds like they're going to be getting him back a lot sooner than we expected, which is the best news I think that we've gotten so far in training camp.
Yeah, and I feel like, Jeremy, that's a point that like can kind of be applied to both safeties, right? Like the idea that you could potentially have them back earlier than you expected, but the Lions kind of have, I don't want to say the luxury, but they do kind of have that ability to like, hey, if things don't look great right now or within the next couple of practices, like that's still fine. Like the idea that Brian Branch was going to be back in probably like October, November, I think is still like maybe worst case scenario. And if like things are progressing really well, then you get him a little bit earlier. The same thing can kind of be said for Kirby Joseph, where it's like, hey, there's no reason to feel like you have to put extra wear and tear on him now if the ultimate goal is to like see how he's going to look come September.
Yeah, the Kirby situation is kind of all over the place though, right? Because they just don't know how that knee's going to react once he gets out there and starts playing. But I will say, like, the work he's been doing pretty consistently with the trainers is not, it's not just like light jogging. It's pretty rigorous. And so they are putting the knee to the test at some level already, and probably getting some answers to their questions. But I will say the initial update that we got from Kirby to me was a little disheartening. It was a little like, yeah, if we get him week 1, we're thrilled. Like, that's a bonus. That's something that we weren't really expecting. We aren't really expecting, I should say. And so we'll
that
see
came
with
from
him.
Dan, right?
That came from Dan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirby himself certainly was in better moods than last time we talked to him in the locker room, like a couple months after. It was the week he tried to come back. And it was very clear it was not holding up, and he was as somber as can be. And now he's it's almost manic, it feels like, with some of the Twitter stuff, the Instagram stuff. He's really excited about his YouTube page. Sure. Maybe sort of manic. Let's hope that's good news and not like an actual psychiatric condition. Because listen, he's putting in the work. I think that's the bottom line, is that he is very clearly doing everything he can to get ready. The Lions are making sure that they're doing right by their player. But I think my concern with him is once he gets on the field, I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen. And there's less concern obviously there with Branch. Like, obviously you can re-injure, or you could be, overcompensating and hurt something else if you're Brian Branch. But generally speaking, we've seen people return from Achilles and be okay. There's not a long list of guys like that, but it's growing. With Kirby, I just don't know. I don't know. It's a really strange situation, and we're not getting any sort of straight answers. But he's out there working. He's clearly putting a lot of stress on the knee with workouts here. And the Lions are at a point where it's clear that they're going to try it. He's going to eventually make the field at some point this season, whether it's in practice, in game, both. We're going to find out. And with him, getting that extension last year, it's going to be critical what we find out, because he's either going to continue to be this team's safety and one of the best safeties in the league for the next 5-6 years, or he could be off the team next year. Like it's that wide of a range, and it's all going to depend on how that knee ends up holding up.
Ryan, we got a little bit of additional injury update news, and when talking about the secondary, as Christian Izien returned to practice on Sunday, he was initially on NFI with the flu, and he's finally kind of getting worked back in. But I think the thing that was surprising about Izien coming back was, like, I think a lot of us went into training camp like, oh, Izien's going to be competing for one of the starting safety jobs. And then Dan comes out there and kind of drops the bomb of, like, actually, when the initial plan for him was to get a lot of reps at nickel. How much did that kind of just, like, shock you or just kind of catch you off guard in regards to, like, what the initial plan was for him?
I don't think it surprised me at all. Like, I viewed him very much as a Brian Branch replacement. I viewed him as a guy that they would be able to lean on, and maybe, just because of the youthfulness and a little bit of the unknown, just because he played sort of all over the place in Tampa Bay, but you saw the numbers when it came to run defense and being disruptive at the line of scrimmage. It just kind of screamed like he would be a Brian Branch replacement. But then when they also get Roger McCreary, it's like, okay, well, then Izien's probably going to play safety. But I think they just want to get the best mix of guys out there that they possibly can. And I know that kind of echoes something that you've appreciated, Miko, about their approach to the offseason is let the cream rise to the top, and we're going to figure out who's going to be the best player at the best spot. I just think you look at the totality of the secondary. You have the good news about Brian Branch. I'll never know how to feel about Kirby Joseph. Like that changes by like the every hour, I think. But I think you look at all of the players that are in the mix all across the board, and I just think that they have so much depth, right? I'm not entirely sold on their top level talent. Maybe in some certain spots, and we'll get to that in a minute. But like, I just think that they have a lot of depth, and I think that I want to take Kelvin Shepherd at his word from earlier in this offseason, where it's like, yeah, we're probably going to play some more nickel. Like that's part of the plan. And I look at the secondary, I'm like, how can you afford to keep some of these guys off the field when the alternative is, fill in a linebacker who has just joined the room, So that's kind of where I'm at with the secondary.
To me, it's fascinating when you combine Kirby and Brian Branch's relative health, fact that there's a decent enough chance that both of them avoid the PUP to go into the season. What does that do to the rest of your defensive back room? Because I was already in, my roster projections keeping 11 or 12, and that was before I'd even considered Brian Branch not starting the season on PUP. If you bring him in, that's going to bounce someone off the roster. And listen, it's been Chuck Clark and Avonte Maddox as the starters all camp. Like, there has not been a break. Those are the two starters week one if your two normal starters are out. I'm almost positive at this point. Now, Izien's starting to get a little bit of work in there. He's getting work at nickel and at safety. But to have those two as kind of your rock-solid starters, veterans that you can trust, that was something that Kelvin Shepherd talked about on Sunday. He's like, I really like having veterans back there because it allows us to disguise. It allows us to, they understand like the deep concepts of why we do this, why we do that. And when that's the case, we can start mixing up coverages because quarterbacks are so good with what they can do pre-snap. You have to lie to them. You have to show them lying eyes. And having trusted guys out there like Chuck Clark, like Avonte Maddox, who have been around almost 10 seasons each, that brings some stability there. That allows them to do more things where those guys might not have the physical abilities of Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. They might not have the playmaking abilities, but they allow you to do so much things schematically that can tip the scales in your favor. And I think that should put Lions fans, I think, at relative ease at the safety position. Now, once we kind of expand that into corner, like obviously outside corner remains I would say the biggest concern of this team right now. There's been some standouts in training camp, and we'll talk about those, I think, in the second segment. But by bringing in Izien into the nickel conversation, well, then now you can move McCreary and Abney a little bit to the outside, which you've seen. And so, like, there's ways to make it work. But these first couple weeks of training camp, I think, is a lot of let's cross train. Let's, like you said, find the best combination of these guys that work. And in the meantime, we'll build some versatility where if an injury hits one of these positions, we got some guys that at least know what to do in these positions inside this defense.
And I think like if there is some level of concern, if you've been like reading observations from training camp and things like that, that it doesn't seem like there's a set lineup in the secondary in terms of like the cornerback room. Like I think there's a level of calmness that should kind of come about when it's like, well, today was the first day that they were in pads. And I think as camp kind of progresses and as the intensity starts to progress, then I think you'll eventually see the Lions kind of settle into things in terms of what they ideally want in that secondary and whether or not they feel like, hey, do we have the guys to to play some more base defensive set, or do we have to play a lot more nickel, or does nickel become our new base? Like I think that's one thing that I've at least been taking as camp has kind of progressed, as you've been getting some guys coming back from injuries, other guys kind of dealing with injuries, which kind of segues us into both Jimmy Rolder and Derek Moore, two of the Lions draft picks from this past draft class. Like there is a level of like, okay, things are going to like be a little bit in flux as things just kind of continue to just change a bit, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, no doubt. I think the linebacker room is constantly shifting right now, and I don't really have a strong feeling behind, outside of your top three, maybe four, if you want to slip some, one of those guys in there, like Nowaski, I think maybe might be your linebacker four, but the Rolder injury is a bummer, right? He's a guy that was starting to turn my opinion on him around a little bit. I do think he was generally probably headed for mostly a special teams role this season, but could have worked his way up into the linebacker 4, linebacker 5 conversation and saw the field. Now he's going to be out indefinitely. It's not a season ender. That's the good news. But as Dan said, as a rookie, these training camp reps are so invaluable. We saw, Christian Mahogany basically lost his entire rookie season because of it. Kind of same thing with Miles Frazier. Their careers feel like both those guys' careers felt like they started in year 2. And even though Rolder will almost certainly contribute at some point on this team this year, it feels like year 2 is now where most of his development is actually going to happen. But that, they signed obviously Devin White, they signed Troy Reeder right before training camp. And suddenly now you have 2 experienced bodies in there. Again, those guys are going to have to battle some special teams roles. Devin White doesn't have a ton of special teams experience. I'm not like plugging Devin White into the starting lineup. I know a lot of people are really excited about him. 5th overall pick, ton of tackles last year, former All-Pro. I get all of that, but I think a lot of people that break down film, and I'm not one of them when it comes to Devin White in particular, say that the stats sometimes lie with a player like that. But he's a guy with a chip on his shoulder. He's a guy that at least can give you experience and know defenses and responsibilities, but I think we're a far away from figuring out what the depth at this linebacker position will look like now that Rolder's out.
Yeah, Ryan. I mean, does it make you feel better or worse about the linebacker room now that that you're losing Jimmy Rolder, like who Jeremy's saying, like you didn't really expect to probably contribute much outside of a special teams role, but you are adding at least an established veteran in Devin White. I think, like Jeremy said, there's a lot of varying opinions on him, but looking at the linebacker room now, do you feel better or worse about it, a couple or at least a week into training camp?
I think I generally feel the same. I think the biggest quote unquote like loser in the situation is Jimmy. Like he's just losing opportunities, and I think that kind of segues well to like Derek Moore, where it's not like a serious concern. Sounds like he's going to be out from like 7 to 10 days with this minor groin strain, but again, like that's 7 to 10 days of training camp. Those are, like you mentioned, Jeremy, they're super valuable reps, and he was a guy who I think was making quite an impact, and I think that there was enough there to suggest that, oh, okay, maybe this guy, I mean, I know DJ Wanham's in the mix. I know they want to use maybe Levi Onwuzurike as a pass rusher. Like there's an awful lot of guys in the mix there. And it seemed like Derek Moore was maybe going to be just in that tier below and having to earn his way. Well, how are you going to earn your way? You're going to do that during training camp. And the early returns were pretty exciting. And now it's just like, oh, okay, I guess we're going to wait, and other guys are going to get reps and other guys are going to get, eyes on them, and they're going to have their opportunities. So I think that in the grand scheme of things, like this injury is a little bit more of a bummer in the sense that I think I had those expectations for Jimmy Rolder where it's like special teams, right? If Jimmy Rolder is playing defense snaps year one, what happened? Oh no. Now he could have worked his way into that, but I think that Derek Moore kind of seemed like more of a, oh wow, he's pushing guys around, he's getting the quarterback, like, I think that there was an opportunity to just keep that steam rolling, and it kind of sucks that the train has stopped.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy who would have been really fun to watch with the pads on, and will be really fun to watch with the pads on. I don't want to act like he's gone forever. But he plays with so much physicality. But what was interesting is when Dan Campbell got asked about him, he's like, we knew about the physicality. You look on the tape, like, he plays this physical style, and because he does, you kind of lose the fact that he's also super athletic. He can get off the ball real quick. He's got a twitch to him. And so, yeah, he was making a little bit of an impact, and now, the edge room doesn't look quite as good. It certainly doesn't help that Peyton Turner, somewhat predictably, has not been able to see the field since day one with a back injury, and so now you're looking at an edge room that, like, you came into camp thinking, well, this isn't so bad. You have DJ Wanham, an experienced guy. You have a second round rookie. You have Peyton Turner, who has the skill set that you like, and unlike the Marcus Davenport signings of the past few years, you aren't requiring Peyton Turner to be your edge 2. He's your edge 4, and so you can take a little bit of a swing on an edge 4. But now you're down 2 of those guys, and listen, they're guys that have stepped up. Like, we're going to talk about him a lot more in the second segment, but like Ahmed Hassanin, I was a doubter. I'll be completely honest. I thought he was more lore than an actual good football player at this point. Of course, he's an awesome person to be around and gives you great quotes, but I have been very impressed with the start of his camp, and he's one of these guys that I think is taking advantage of some of the additional reps, even though he's more of a big end than maybe a rushing end like you expected Moore and Turner to be.
Yeah, that level of those injuries when you talk about Derek Moore and Peyton Turner do raise a lot of questions in terms of, similar to the secondary of what are the Lions going to do in terms of personnel wise, and what are they going to lean into when you don't have those ideally speed rush type guys that you can kind of rotate in with Wanham and things like that. But that's not the only group that is seemingly having a lot of injuries kind of piling up. You look over at the tight end group, and you have Tyler Conklin that still hasn't quite yet returned to the practice field. He's getting close, but hasn't quite got onto the practice field yet. Miles Kitselman was getting a good amount of time and then was demoted and then suffered an injury, and they seem to be just rotating tight ends almost every day, Jeremy. So that's another group where I know we're talking about tight end 3, but based off of how things went last year, tight end 3 might be pretty important to figure out here early in camp.
Yeah, it's currently cursed, by the way. The tight end 3 spot is cursed because we all gave it to Conklin. He hasn't practiced yet. Then it was Kitselman. Kitselman was getting time with the ones. And because they're kind of easing Sam Laporta in too. And so Kitselman was getting legitimate reps with the ones. Then, like you said, he had kind of one bad day, got demoted, and then got injured. And he got demoted. You know who took his place? The guy they just signed, Anthony Ferkser. Ferkser gets a leg injury today and had to be carted off, and it did not look good. So I expect they added one tight end, and I'll be honest, I've been so busy, I don't know anything about him. I think someone said he had a Drew Petzing connection. I don't know. I think they're going to have to add another one. They're in a bad spot in terms of their tight end depth right now. And does that have any sort of impact on the regular season? Maybe, maybe not. Like you said, I think Conklin's getting close here. Maybe at the end of the week, this is just me speculating, maybe next week. And that should be enough of a runway for him to get ready by the regular season and hopefully be healthy. But the depth, they need bodies right there. And what I'm curious about now is is that now okay, we were going to take you along slowly, but Jackson Meeks, welcome to the tight end 3 conversation. Get in there and see what you can do.
Yeah, Lions signed tight end Nick Muse today in after releasing Tyreek Black. So, like you said, they're probably still going to have to add another tight end because now that you have one that's injured. But Ryan, that's a group where, we talk about guys getting opportunities. a guy like Jackson Meeks probably is the next guy that you're kind of looking at until Tyler Conklin kind of comes back as like, well, this would be your time to impress to see if you can maybe steal a tight end 4 job.
For sure. And we're talking about the third tight end, but the thing that was in vogue and the hot thing everybody talked about in the offseason was 13 personnel and having 3 tight ends, having reliable ones, having ones that can stay healthy and be on the field. And that spot just needs to be secured.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the room that's the easiest to project in terms of 1, 2, 3, right?
Yep.
Like Laporta, right? Conklin when he's eventually healthy. But like you guys said, the Lions were scraping the bottom of the barrel and they were really churning through tight ends to see if they could find one to line up in a legal formation and not, false start by the end of the season. So it's important that they get this hammered out right now, Jeremy.
No doubt. And listen, there were some early 13 personnel in training camp, and maybe that was just because they had healthy bodies, and now they don't, and they're not, and they're moving away from it. But I went into training camp thinking some of the 13 personnel stuff was overhyped. After the first couple practices, I was like, maybe it wasn't. And now I'm like, well, now they're kind of having to move away from it just because. But if they have the healthy bodies, I think they're going to try to increase their 13 personnel usage. And so they are going to have to find some healthy bodies here. And I would not be surprised if they add another tight end here in the next day or two, assuming what I fear, which is Anthony Firkser's injury might be serious.
The other position group that I do want to talk about that has also had some injury concerns is the offensive line. Once again, it's a mix of like some guys have continued to be out. You had some guys returning in the form of Christian Mahogany, but one of the weirdest injury bits of news that came out from the offensive line group that I don't think any of us saw coming was Giovanni Manu's injury saga that has basically landed him on what, NFI or
NFI
the PUP list?
NFI because it happened during training apparently. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this, Miko. I didn't even know it was technically allowed. I thought once you clear your initial physical and then practice, you could not go on any of these injury lists. But apparently because it was an injury that was not disclosed to the team, apparently not caught during the physical, and Manu aggravated it after the first practice. They put him on the NFI list. Dan Campbell kind of gave a very brush aside, 12, 14 weeks, 10, whatever. The way he talked about it, he just wanted Giovanni Manu out of his hair. And we don't see that very often with Dan Campbell, but when you do, it's like, oh, that guy is in the doghouse and he might not be here long. I don't know what you do with a player like that. Obviously, with the NFI, you can keep him there and put him on there for the regular season. He'll miss the first 4 games and, doesn't cost you a roster spot or anything like that. But I think it's done what Ryan, you just said with the tight end room. I think the offensive tackle room is now very clear. To me, Giovanni Manu was, do you keep an OT4 or not? The answer now is no, because with all due respect to Colby Sorswell and Devin Cochran, I don't think they're at that level. And to bring in a discussion that I know we're going to talk about a little bit later, the fact that Miles Frazier is playing everything, including tackle, and looking pretty good at it, tells me you don't need to keep a 4th offensive tackle on this roster. You got Miles Frazier there to be your OT4, and he's going to make some noise at tackle. He's going to make some noise at guard. And so it sucks for Manu, but I do feel like this is the end. This is how his Lions story is going to be written. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he finds some sort of resurgence and can have a bright future, but not disclosing an injury that you suffered during the offseason is not a way to keep your locker in this town.
Well, for as much as we just talked about, Derek Moore missing 7 to 10 days, and that's a bummer. Other people are going to get opportunity. I mean, Giovanni Manu needed to be on the field every single day, working his tail off, proving whether it's guard, tackle, who cares, right? I think it's very interesting, though, that the Lions have 2 guys in Juice Scruggs and Miles Frazier that can play a couple different spots, right? Juice Scruggs might be your backup center, and he's your guard depth. Miles Frazier seems like he could be some guard depth, or he could step out and play tackle in a pinch. Those are 2 very valuable guys that, I'm assuming, Jeremy, that they're going to continue to cross-train them.
Yeah.
To keep them in a spot where, you talk about a couple of guys who can play almost across the entire offensive line. That's super valuable when it comes to roster construction.
Juice is the one guy where I think maybe he's going to eventually settle in at center, because right now they're still working in Christian Mahogany, kind of ramping him up, and Ben Barch is sidelined. But if both those players are back in the lineup and healthy, I'm not sure there's the reps to warrant Juice Scruggs, unless they think he can win the starting left guard job, which, to be clear, like, I wouldn't call him the front runner, but he's certainly gotten way more snaps as the starting left guard than any other player, and probably any other player combined with all other players. He's the guy that's been getting the most left guard reps, and I think that's doing good for cross training and making sure he's good at the position. But I think their comfort level is like, we want him to be the backup center. That's where we want you to be. But again, like, having a Graham Glasgow type that can fill in at any of those interior spots is pretty darn valuable, as you said.
I want to leave off with one more good piece of news when we talk about injuries, because I think, like, there's been a little bit of a mixed bag. Like we said, we had some guys that were coming back. We got some good updates on some others. Other guys are going to miss some time. The quote unquote injury scare that we had with Aleem McNeil, I think, though, is a good testament, Ryan, of why, like, as much as, like, everyone is very tense these first couple weeks of training camp, why everyone just needs to, like, play any amount of injury news before, like, jumping off a cliff. I think Morgan and I talked about this in our last video. Like, injuries are going to happen. This is football at the end of the day. And so, like, there's going to be some things that happen, but just because someone leaves practice early, or even to Jeremy's point, just because something looks scary doesn't mean it's the worst case scenario every single time.
I'm sure you guys saw that CJ Gardner-Johnson was carted off again, just as he was in training camp when he was in Detroit, and everybody lost their minds and Chicken Little and the sky is falling. CJ Gardner-Johnson's okay. Like, he's not going to miss a ton of that. Maybe CJ Gardner-Johnson just likes getting carted off during training camp. I don't know. But, like, it's just a good reminder to, like, not turn on caps lock. Like, leave caps lock off. Just react to the news as it comes in. Like, he wasn't carted off the field. Like, what ended up happening to Aleem McNeil is he was kicked.
He was kicked in the head by a teammate, someone on defense. And
okay, the important thing is I need to know who kicked him. Was it Ahmed Hassanin?
I don't think so. I think it was a DB. I don't remember who. To just, like, add some context to all this too, because I think it's going to come up when more and more people show up at training camp and see an injury happen, and people in the stands are tweeting about it, but the beat isn't. There's very strict rules about reporting injuries when it comes to reporters. And I think everything you just explained is because once you start speculating about an injury, that's when you send people into a panic, oftentimes unnecessarily. But the way it works is when an injury happens, like it did today, the very second rep, Sione Vaki goes down, and it looks real bad. Like, he's writhing on the floor. We don't really know. Like, there was two kind of prevailing theories amongst the beat writers. One was that he broke his arm, because when he was down, like, his arm was just laid out. The other was that he either had a concussion or, like, I thought I saw someone go, like, we didn't know what was going on. We're not allowed to say a thing. Now, people in the stand see that he's down, but we can't say anything about it because they don't want us speculating on us. They don't want us giving any sort of, like, misleading context. We might say something wrong. Once the practice is over, for players that are getting injured, we get an update from the lines. They say, this guy's being evaluated for this injury, this guy's being evaluated for this injury. We can provide a little bit of context, say, like, it happened on this play. They don't want us saying non-contact or contact, because you could get that wrong, right? Like, in a flash of the moment, you can't tell. When we say that sort of stuff, we say it because we see a replay of it. We can evaluate it a little bit better if we see a replay of it. We can say it happened during this drill. We can say he got carted off, or he limped off, or a trainer helped him. He was, favoring this side, whatever. So, like, when the Aleem thing happened, I saw him talk to someone in the crowd, and he's like, I didn't want to make an assumption, say it was fine. I just reported, hey, Aleem got injured. He seemed to be offering reassuring words to the crowd. Factual stuff. You have to be very careful. So, at some point, something in training camp is going to probably happen to an important player. You'll hear people tweeting their hands off in the crowds, and you'll probably say, like, why isn't the beat talking about this? What the hell's happening? Why aren't they saying anything? That's why. And I think you guys did a good job of illustrating why the policy is what it is.
Yeah. like you said, it's making sure that things can be reported correctly and making sure that we're not, once again, just like sending people into panic, because I know how many times I've, as a fan, have seen that.
Yeah.
Where even like the whole idea of contact versus non-contact, like the minute you even see the words, people's minds go to the worst possible place of like, oh, well, if it's non-contact, then then it has to be one of these two things, and you get people playing Twitter doctor, and it's not a good place to be. To Ryan's point, taking the time to just like, hey, you can react to things, you can report on things without having to necessarily feel like it has to be the most dire piece of news that is out there. Like, just take a second, provide the information that's available, and then kind of just keep it moving from there.
Yeah. How old were you guys when Eric Ebron got hurt at Ford Field?
Oh, at the scrimmage where it was it was Achilles injury.
Yeah.
In our chat, AD Jerome just brought it up almost the exact same time. Yeah.
And he was fine.
Right.
It was just like a minor ankle
experts
injury.
got that one wrong. That was, big time reporters got kind of faulty information. And so, yeah, stay cautious out there with some of these injury scares. But also, like, I want to get back to Aleem just for a second, too, because what I thought was really interesting is when we talked to him, and Dan mentioned it, too, like, they went back and watched the tape of him last year, and he was favoring that leg. And when you talked to him during the season last year, he said, no, we waited until I was fine. I'm fine now. I'm not favoring. I'm not thinking about it. And you have to like look back on that now. Like, did he know he was favoring it? Was that unconscious? Was he just like trying to will it into existence? Yeah. And I don't know. But the good news is that he seems to be himself again. He seems to actually not be favoring it. And we're seeing some of those results daily in practice as well. So excited for him this year.
Big news.
I wonder how much Righteous Felon Craft Jerky possibly helped in like his recovery process, like getting more protein into his diet and being able to just like, you know what, I don't have to worry about an injury because I have just like some of the best protein snacks that are out there that are just kind of helping fuel my practices and fueling my recovery. The Pride of Detroit podcast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's good enough for the Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced, all-natural Black Angus beef and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. Guys, when we got this new house, I was fortunate enough to get a new desk. And one of the things I love about this desk is that it has a pouch on the side over here. So I can just, be in the middle of the podcast and reach over and just pull out some Nelson Mandela. Like, I have just this entire thing is filled with Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. And they do truly have some amazing flavors. I have yet to try the habanero Escobar, but Jeremy, I think I've heard you mention this one as a really good one. If you really like a little bit of spice when it comes to your jerky, this is probably a go-to one. The Nelson Mandela one, if you are a pickle fan, you're gonna love this. You're gonna absolutely go crazy over this one. So yeah, head over to righteousfelon.com, use the promo code POD15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. Again, that's promo code POD15 at righteousfelon.com. When we come back, we are going to be jumping into some of our biggest standout winners and a couple of guys that probably need to just pick it up a little bit. Again, it's early in camp. No one's making any definitive statements, but we do have a couple of guys that are absolutely standing out early here in camp. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more right after this.
All right. We are on break, which means we get to talk to you fine people in the live chats over on Twitch and YouTube. Before we do that, get to a few alerts. Not too many this time around. No big deal there. Let's start with Big DMG. 25 months subscribed on Twitch. John Johnson with the 22 months subscribed on Twitch says, what position coach is giving the most fire smack talk during practice? You guys want to take a guess? Because you're right.
Shep.
Shep is one.
Scotty Montgomery.
Ooh, not as much. He's. I would put him third. There is a very easy number 2 though.
Tashard Choice.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And he doesn't even have his horse out there right now.
It's true. It's Aaron Glenn and what's his name
Deuce Staley all over again.
Deuce Staley all over again. 100%. Yeah. I would say I might put choice number 1 right now for the amount of juice he brings to practice. He's into it, and I love it. Like, it's great.
I like it. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I'll get to that in a second, Unknown Line fan. Kick Puncher, thank you for the 19 months. I'm sorry, 27 months. 19 in a... Nope, 19's just in your name. 27 months says, Glover Quinn anniversary. Let's hope our safeties can get back healthy. JC, thank you for the 32 months. Dre Bly, indeed. I think I had a Dre Bly jersey back in the day. I was a big fan.
Did you buy it before he broke his hand? Was it hand, fingers?
I don't remember.
I remember being there on Thanksgiving Day when he picked off Brett Favre.
Oh,
with a cast.
it's incredible.
Yeah. Do you remember when he was a position coach?
Yeah, briefly, yes.
Briefly, yes.
1 year here.
Yes.
Yeah. Always. It's a reminder that bringing the hometown hero is a great story, but not necessarily the right move.
Yeah. There was a great story that I'd have to go back and find about, like, Reggie White showing up to, I don't know if he like came back to Packers camp or Eagles camp or something like that, and he was like coaching, and it just wasn't working. Yeah. And it was like, I just can't. It's like, I just do it. Like, I do, like, you can't do that. And it's like, no, Reggie White, I can't. Like, you're like that. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can't coach.
Yeah. Why am I spitting in the PODD video? I'm not. Am I spitting? Like, just I'm talking so aggressively that I'm spitting, or what do you mean? I don't like turning spit, do I?
Today's episode was hilarious. Your Ahmed Hassanin reenactment.
Yeah, if you didn't see, I did put a screenshot on Twitter. So, literally 2 seconds in. What do you mean? That's crazy. Anyways, yeah. So Ahmed Hassanin during a special teams rep beat Thomas Gordon, one of the depth tight ends. And Eric says they were chirping at each other. From my point of view, it was just Ahmed staring at him. Just staring at him after he beat him in a rep. Staring him down like he had just drained a 3 in his face. For like 5 or 6 seconds. Nothing else is being said. And then at one point, just guttural scream right in his face.
Oh,
just,
man.
Ah! And look, Ahmed is good for like 3 of those a practice. Honestly. And I don't know, like, he's earned them too, man. He's been playing well. I'm starting to get too excited about him.
I love that he's basically like the defense's version of Damo.
Yeah.
After anything, really is. It's basically going to be
that's a great way
loud
to put
yell.
Yeah, and I did make sure to make that the thumbnail of me staring at Eric. So check that out if you haven't. Jake Bates' anniversary for Luxtables, 39 months. Says happy Jake Bates' anniversary. So glad training camp, and all the fantastic PODD coverage is back. Appreciate that. And, I'm going to stop right here just for a second to say I appreciate y'all. Last couple of weeks have been a little bit weird for me. Some, like, up and down emotions for various reasons. I think I let some of the wrong voices get into my head a little bit, but starting the PODD daily videos, getting some support from friends and people in the business have really strengthened my resolve that we're doing things the right way. And I think I just needed that quick reminder, even though I don't think I really needed it. It's just a reminder of what everyone should always remember, which is the only opinions that should matter to you are the people whose opinions you respect. Very simple. But sometimes you lose sight of that. Anyways. Sure. Yeah. Joe Tiger, thank you for 17 months. Says, shout out to Timmy P. Tell us about the DT depth. Ooh, DT depth. Well, I still haven't seen enough out of the rookies to make me believe that they're going to make some sort of early impact. But
I saw a year 2 Tyreek Williams push Cade Mays back.
Yes, and that was what someone was asking about, and like, it's ultimately the push pull of training camp, which is like, are we happy that Tyleek did that, or are we scared that Cade Mays got pushed back like that? The answer has to be a little bit both, right? Like it's one rep, so it doesn't say anything for certain about either player. But yeah, it's good and it's bad.
I think I'd rather Tyleek do that than Cade Mays be the other way. If Cade Mays is stonewalling Tyleek Williams, I'd be like, oh crap.
Right. You did invest more in your first round pick. But you did invest.
I guess that same thing we were saying about injuries, we should have also said about highlight plays. Like,
right.
realize these are one play
yes.
within an hour and a half long practice.
Do you know who had a lot of clips last year during training camp?
Oh, I do.
He's not here anymore, so.
I don't remember.
Terry and Arnold.
There
were so many videos of him like, look at this pass deflection, look at this coverage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the rest of I do think the starters have looked great. I do think Tyleek has looked pretty darn good most of training camp. I do think Aleem looks like he has some of his strength back. I will say, wasn't Aleem's best day with the one-on-ones, and because some of those became against Christian Mahogany, someone like Eric took that news as very positive. He's a big Christian Mahogany guy. But I mean, because I think it's such a big year for Aleem, I kind of just want him to see him dominate everyone he's going up against. I don't care if it's Tate Ratledge. I don't care if it's Cade Mays. I don't care if it's whoever it's at left guard that day. I want to just see him tear people apart. Not like literally, obviously.
I get that.
I'm trying to think of who else along the depth. I know Tyler Lacey is kind of more big end, but like he hasn't relented that starting big end spot. And I think he's playing well. Today was a great day for him. So I think he's a guy that most people don't know, and people should start to get to know a little better, even though he played a lot last year.
I think that's a really interesting mix too, because I'm assuming a lot of people are probably like, well, like Levi Onwuzurike, where does he kind of fit in? But like he's kind of playing the big end role too, right? Like he's getting a lot of reps there.
Most of his
like
reps
behind
right now
Lacey
at 3 tech.
Okay.
The Hassanin is the big end 2 right now.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's playing well. But yeah, I would say like most time it's like Wingo and Onwuzurike as your kind of backup 3s. You saw a little bit of nose with him as well, with Onwuzurike. I think I'm fairly positive at some point they're going to add five tech big end to his kind of arsenal here, because he's done it before. He's played that role before, and I think he's good in it. And I think a lot of the things that he does well is a perfect fit for it. But I still think he's kind of on the track of like, let's just slowly build you up.
Yeah, I was wondering that listening to like a lot of your guys' recaps, where it's just like, I wonder how much of this is just like, hey, we want to get Lacey and Hassanin as many of these like big end reps, because like we had an entire training camp to see you do it. So like we know,
right,
to a certain extent, like we know Levi can go out there and do it, but like I would expect it to kind of ramp up at some point in time in training camp as they get closer to the season, just to have him more comfortable if they ask him to do it. But there's also that element of like, because they don't have a Roy Lopez this year. They don't have a Pat O'Connor, like other guys that you would be like, oh, these would be the guys that you would like kind of, subsidize Aleem or Tyleek with. It's like, maybe they are looking at Levi of just like, we expect you to be like first man up in the event that we need to take one of these guys off the field. That probably means that we got to take away some of your big end responsibilities, but that doesn't mean that they'll completely vanish either.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment. My big question is like the nose stuff, right? I think you can expect Aleem and Tyleek to do some of that stuff. I don't think Levi is your nose tackle 3 behind those two. Maybe it's Chris Smith, maybe it's Kiana Aina, but Keanu Aina has not gotten off to a great start. I know we all thought it was going to be Tufele. That obviously didn't even make it to training camps, which was kind of an interesting development that we never really got a full explanation on. But that's the part where I'm most like, I don't have a good idea of what's the plan there at nose tackle beyond your two guys that are kind of interchangeable at that spot.
Yeah.
And it's also like extremely hard to gauge nose tackle play in training camp without any replays
Without
because
pads, too.
Without pads as well. Yeah. I mean, the one-on-ones are the best option to really figure those sort of things out. And as I think some people were pointing out on Twitter today, like those are very heavily favored towards the defense because how often is a nose tackle getting blocked one-on-one?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to highlight one comment that I saw before it like completely vanished. I think it was Anthony Rosas 15 asked the question of like, how do you decipher like good training camp performance versus like regular season expectations? Like, how do you kind of like, because I think that's a very important thing that is like, that's tough to do, right? Because to Ryan's point, it's finally real football, but at the same time, it is still practice.
I mean, the short answer is you never know. You never know if that's going to translate. And Terrion Arnold is the perfect example of that. The more nuanced answer is we'll pay attention to not only how they're performing, but who they're going up against and how consistent is it day to day, week to week. If their names keeps popping up on your notebook every single day, well, then it's probably a little bit more real. But if they're going against threes all the time, well, you got to take that with a grain of salt, at least a little bit there. Like, obviously, if a player is going to climb up the depth chart and they can't control where they start, you got to beat up on the player across from you. But if it's only thirds that they're going up and they're not climbing up those depth charts, that's when you kind of have to raise an eyebrow and be like, are we missing something that he isn't doing well during these drills? Did they give him some twos that I missed and just wasn't there? But that's my answer. It's like the number one rule is you just never know. You don't know if it's going to translate once the games come in. 2, you got to pay attention to where they're repping, when they're repping, and who they're repping against.
I think that was kind of the nice thing about the scrimmages, the joint practices, right? Like it was nice to get like the joint practices in to see like, are you just like, are you tuned in with like the tendencies of your opponent? Like, because you're going against them all the time. So like, you know what to do. Then all of a sudden, if Jacksonville comes in and now you're not looking like the same guy, it's like, oh, okay, we're, did you just study your opponent for a few weeks here now and you have them down? So like, I don't know, like I'm kind of bummed out that there's no joint practices, but also, I don't know, I do applaud, and this is something I think, we've talked about before, but like both Brad and Dan, like taking a look at their offseason and being like, well, like let's try something different. Like if we, if we end up liking it, great. If we end up not liking it, then maybe we can go back to it, next year. But I at least applaud them for trying something different.
And to that end, something happened today at practice that I feel like didn't get enough coverage, and maybe I'm overreacting to it myself, but if I remember correctly, every single year under Dan Campbell, when they went padded practice, the very first drill every single time was one-on-one tackling. And every single year it was legitimate tackling. It was live tackling, bring the guy to the ground. Today they lined up, one-on-one tackling was very clearly the very first drill, and it was 2 in touch. It was 2 in touch. It was not live tackling. And I don't think we saw any true live tackling today. Now, some actual tackling did happen, but I don't think it was like you ran into a rock. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know if that's growth. I don't know if it's just like I have no doubt in my mind that at some point there's going to be live tackling in training camp. Like, I think they're going to build to that point, but to not start with it, I think is an interesting development that I'm curious to ask Dan about tomorrow, just to see if that was, a minor tweak, something. Maybe they won't do live tackling this year. Or maybe I
part
had
of him revising his plan.
Yeah.
approach. Yeah.
Maybe
cool.
maybe
That's
they've
an
always.
interesting thing to note.
I'm pretty sure though. Like every year, it's been like actual tackling to lead off training camps. Again, I could be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, like the Hard Knocks video was after the first day of camp, right? And he's talking about like, I know you guys think I'm crazy doing live tackling right away. So I'm fairly confident that my memory is serving me correctly. So it'll be interesting to see what Dan says about it tomorrow. But it was also kind of like, not funny because players got injured, but like ironically funny that they go to that and they're like, oh, maybe they've turned a corner. Maybe they think this is going to help them with their injury situation. Then the first live, first 11 on 11, it was like the very first play, Derek Barnes got up gimpy. He was fine and played the rest of practice. And then the second one was the Sione Vaki injury. You're like, well, that didn't work.
It's like,
but like that's the
it's
part
almost
of
like
it
we're
where
playing
it's like,
football.
Right.
Exactly. Right. Like that's the part of it where like Morgan and I were talking about it, I think before we recorded our last video, and it gets him pretty fired up because people overreact to the idea that like, well, Dan Campbell runs really hard practices. And like, to Morgan's credit, he brought receipts on like other coaches that have like infamously run hard practices. And it's like, at the end of the day, guys, like it's football. Like no one's out here intentionally trying to like get their players injured before the season starts, but there's a mentality to like Dan says in that like infamous Hardlines quote where it's like there's a certain level of like calluses you almost have to build up before the season starts. And like I use the analogy in that video, if you guys haven't seen it, of like boxers and MMA fighters who like have to prepare for a fight. At some point in time, like the sparring intensity has to kick up. They can't just keep punching a bag for months on end and then show up like prime time for a fight and then be surprised that like, oh, this dude hits back.
Right.
Yeah, the punching bag is now sentient and has arms and can throw those things back at you. Yeah, it's important. I'm just excited that football's back.
Yeah. There's a preseason game in 3 days. Now, I wouldn't suggest watching it because it's going to be terrible, but the NFL is going to be televised.
Yeah.
What?
Did you guys see the Kenny Pickett meme?
I did see Kenny Pickett starting. He's getting the start.
Great.
Oh, man. I'll have to see if I can find it. It made me laugh.
I am going to do zero explaining of the sentence I'm about to utter. And I'm going to lose some street cred saying it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Instead of watching the first NFL preseason game of the 2026 season, I am going to be at the 5 Seconds of Summer concert at Pine Knob.
I can't even make fun of you. I don't know what that is.
Any other comments to move on to from Twitch or YouTube?
We did get a list cast, but that's only if Jeremy's done with alerts.
I am not. Let me get through that. Where? Krolik, thank you for the 62 months of the Gio Manu anniversary. I don't think that's right. Isn't it 59? He's 59. Captain James 25-bit says, when Jeremy heard about the Scooble trade, and then I think he linked a clip that I missed. Duck Lion, 41 months, says in honor of Jimmy Rolder. That is Jimmy Rolder's number. Snoots, 10 months, Charlie Batch anniversary. And Captain James Kirk says, Jeremy after his up-down punishment. It's just a clip of me screaming, which you all heard. You two did not. Now I'm caught up. Whoa, don't be talking trash about Pine Knob. Pine Knob's great. I went and saw Muse there like 2-3 weeks ago, and it was great. It's my first time there in like 20 years. Very nostalgic.
It was one of my favorite places to work.
You worked there?
I used to work at like the Palace and like Pine Knob and Meadowbrook, I think. Loved working at Pine Knob except for Ozfest. It was the absolute worst every single year.
Elaborate.
Dude, like that was the first time that was my introduction to what sod was. And also the fact that you could just pick it up out of the ground. and then hurl it at people.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so funny. Like, there were 2 times in my, like, I worked there for like over 5 years or something like that. There were 2 times that like my coworkers were like legitimately concerned for my safety. It was every year at Ozfest, and like there was one particular like country concert where like people were like, "Yeah, Miko, you can't go by yourself. Like, we're gonna need to send people with you."
At least they were ready to like protect you. You know what I mean? At least they were looking out.
It was just like, it was a shocking realization of like, yeah, no, like, and they were like dead serious. Like, no, we can't give you a cart of alcohol and send you by yourself.
Noted. 5 Seconds of Summer, huh? You're gonna go see an Australian boy band from 15 years ago.
I said there will be no. I will not be taking questions.
Okay, all right. I was confirming that you were going to that concert. I was further illustrating the audience.
You were just explaining who they were to chat. Who I'm hoping most people don't know who that is.
I don't know. They were kind of popular. They had a moment. Kind of like,
I mean, they're playing at Pine Knob, so they've had at least some sort of moment.
Right. They're like great value One Direction.
Foo Fighters is playing the same night. In fact, I did get invited to Foo Fighters this week, and I had to say, sorry, no, I'm going to the 5 Seconds of Summer concert.
That's incredible. Where are they playing at?
Is it Ford Field? Kick Puncher says Ford Field. Thanks.
Oh, wow. I real quick, I tried to look up that Reggie White coaching story. But I did find something from when he signed with the Packers in 1993. Have you ever heard this story about Mike Holmgren calling and leaving him a voicemail?
No.
Okay, so the story goes that Reggie White, because he was like an ordained Baptist minister, right? So he stated that like before free agency kicked off, he said like, during my free agent tour, like God will directly tell me where to sign. Mike Holmgren calls him and leaves a voicemail on his phone, and it says, "Reggie, this is God. I want you to play in Green Bay." And I guess that Reggie just thought that was really funny, and then they talked on the phone, and then he signed with him.
Incredible.
For a massive contract. You want to know what he signed for? 4 years, $17 million.
That's a hockey contract. That's small for a hockey contract.
Jacoby Myers is making more money this year.
Miko wanted me to share this picture of Kenny Pickett. It was breaking news that he's going to start for the Hall of Fame game.
Kenny Pickett is he's a serious man. His fiance, probably now wife, works at Goldman Sachs. How dare you make fun of his?
That legitimately made me laugh.
Well, I mean, it's hard not to, because they look like little action figure hands.
It reminds me of the...
Because like, it's one thing for him to have little hands. Like, they gave him the little arms to... Like,
they gave him the little arms, and his head looks so big. And I don't know if it's just because it's like comparison with the arms, but his head looks massive.
Well, it's also made me laugh because the first legitimate post I saw was of him with gloves on. And I was like... oh, so they're having a receiver play quarterback? That's weird. And then I had to read, I'm like, oh, no, Kenny Pickett does wear gloves.
Remember, he wore 2 pairs of gloves.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other quarterback that does that.
The quarterback that made it cool in the first place.
Easy.
There is a request for a list cast from Monkey, who I believe the answer was, oops, we got to do it because I accidentally just accepted it. I think I did. Wait, no, I didn't. 5 best coaches in Detroit sports history.
Across all Detroit sports?
Across all Detroit sports.
Are we including college? Or are we just talking professional?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Jeremy did not request this list cast. So who was it?
Monkey.
Monkey.
Monkey
tell
says
us.
sure.
Okay.
Okay. Because that makes my list easier to fill out.
I am bad at other sports, so I'm not going to I don't even know who coached the bad boys.
I do, and he's on my list.
Is it Chuck Daly?
It is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just stealing from chat now.
I can't look at chat because it's still blocked on the school's Wi-Fi. So, let's see.
Ooh. Oh, it doesn't have to be best. It can just be favorite, according to Monkey.
Oh yeah, it was just gonna be my favorite.
Okay, well that changes my list entirely. Favorite. Here we go.
Yeah, that changes everything though.
Yep.
Because now there's some very non-serious answers I want to give.
3 immediately made my list. Yep. Ooh, my first 4 represented all 4 of the major Detroit sports.
Well, that's impressive. I have my 4.
5?
We need 5?
I mean, it's either 3 or 5, a proper list cast.
Who makes these rules? Okay. Yeah, I can get 5. I have 5, I think. I have 5 because it was going to be an honorable mention. It's a non-serious answer. Whatever.
All right, let's hear them.
Miko, are you close?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I got mine.
Who's your number 5, Jeremy?
Oh, that's a good one too. I'm stealing that one. I didn't order these yet.
Oh.
Let me do that real quick.
Let me order mine then too.
Yeah, okay. My number 5 is Stan Van Gundy.
Just purely based on formal wall.
and the picture.
The mixtape picture?
The album cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also he's funny, he's honest. I don't know how much I love him as an announcer, but
yeah, no. I mean, I think he's actually great.
yeah.
I love him when he does college basketball too.
Okay.
It's clear that he just I don't know how much you know about his personal life, but you
None.
should also listen to some of he has great perspective on life.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we all? Do you want me to go my full list, or we want to go everyone's number 5? Let's do everyone's number 5. I think that's more dramatic.
Okay.
That means one of
my
you
number
two.
5. My number 5 is Rick Carlisle.
I love Rick Carlisle. It's such a bummer that they had to swap him out for Larry Brown, right?
Yeah.
Short-term gains, long-term loss, right?
I had to go back and look because I remember when that happened and they swapped coaches, and I as a kid was just I don't get it. And I had to go back and actually look at his records. They went 50 and 32 back-to-back seasons.
Yeah.
And then they were and then Larry Brown became available. So
yeah, Rick Carlisle's a good answer. That's a really good answer. My number 5 is Mo Cheeks.
Wait.
I know why.
You know why?
I don't know what's happening right now. Whatever you just said is going over my head.
He coached the Pistons, Maurice Cheeks.
Just because of his name?
Yeah, I mean, incredible. Mo Cheeks.
All right, sure.
I think he got fired. I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, he got hired in June of 2013, and he got fired in February of 2014.
So he didn't last a full June to January.
No,
Yeah.
he
He
didn't.
last a full year.
He was 21 and 29. Unbelievable.
Oh man.
Told you it's going to be a non-serious list.
All right, let's snake draft this. So now you got to give your number 4 as well.
My number 4.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think if we're going personal favorites,
Yeah.
I think my number 4. It might be too low, but like Scotty Bowman's my number 4.
Wow. I thought he might be 1 for you.
I mean, I think the thing I love the most is the rivalry that he had with am I blanking on Colorado's coach. Like
Yeah.
just seeing the pure disdain they had for one another. Like yeah. It seems kind of low, but like I don't think he had as many like memorable, quotable things. But also I was a little bit younger. I mean
Crawford, right?
yeah. Mark Crawford, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess Bowman's going to be higher on my list. I'll say that. And it's less for him as a person and more of just what he brought to
being
a franchise.
awesome
that,
coach, yeah.
Yeah. Hadn't had anything in decades.
Mine was kind of based on entertainment, clearly.
That's totally fine. Miko?
Number 4 for me is Larry Brown.
Okay.
Winning
Very
a
basketball
championship,
heavy.
like, yeah, that was. I mean, again, leading that team to a championship and like that being in the prime of my youth, like, it was just, it was. No words can describe what that was like.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know when I don't know if he was like. It's funny to hear like players talk about Larry Brown now though, like as an adult, and it's just like, oh, he was not like a great person, no, like apparently. And I don't know if that was just like after the Pistons or what, but it's just like, oh, like people don't really like Larry Brown.
I mean, he never stayed anywhere very long.
Yeah, and it like makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Sparky Anderson. He'd be higher on my list if I was older, I think, because he coached the Tigers from 79 to 95. And so I was 9 when he stopped coaching the Tigers.
Yeah.
And I was like, the Tigers weren't my team growing up, and they weren't particularly good in that era either. But obviously they won a title under Sparky Anderson, and he's very charismatic. So I felt like he had to make my list, even though I don't think he made that much of a personal impact on me specifically. Like, I can recognize the good stories about him now and how much he's adored by the fan base.
Instead of like living through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who's your number 3?
It's the next most charismatic Tigers manager that was more in my age range.
Yeah.
Jim Leland.
He's he's my number 3 too.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get much more charismatic ripping cigs in the dugout and just
hitting the moonwalk.
I don't think I know that. Now I need to Google this.
I'll look that up.
I don't know. The mustache, everything.
Gosh,
he's an icon.
He's like emotional. He's like crying after they won, and then boom, he hits the moonwalk.
Okay, at
I'm
risk
sending-
of getting DMCA'd here, I think we're gonna play this.
The skipper had to make his way into the clubhouse for a little champagne bath.
Oh, so good. All right, I fear I've now put him too low.
Yeah.
Miko, you're 3.
This is where my list is probably going to become very controversial, but I'm gonna stand by it. Number 3 for me is Mark D'Antonio.
He would probably have been 5 on my list if it wasn't for Mo Cheeks.
That's so fair. Mark D'Antonio made Michigan State football fun. Like
Little Giants,
it,
right?
like that run that they had when they were like winning and just like that climb was like, I don't think I had ever had that much fun as a Michigan State football fan.
I don't think I have since either, Miko. So
They
Fair.
had an identity, which is more than you can say at any other point in Michigan State football history. Like physical defense, run the football.
mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good success to win at the professional level, let alone. And
College,
it almost
right?
like
Yeah.
bucked the trend of, spread offense,
Spread
score
it out.
50
Rich
points.
Rodriguez, yeah.
Yeah. As much as he caused me personal strife, respect.
Yeah. It's a good one, Miko. Who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Dan Campbell.
It's my number 2 too.
It's my number 1. Dan Campbell's
Yeah?
my number 1. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm biased because there's at least a little bit of a personal relationship there. See him every day, get to ask him questions. There's only been 2 other coaches that I've had that kind of relationship with, but like he's so genuine. He's so respectful with pretty much everything he does. He got the Lions to be the most successful I've ever seen the team in the manner of 5 years. Put together 2 seasons of unparalleled success for this franchise, with a 15-win season and an NFC Championship appearance a half away from the Super Bowl. It's going to be a long time before I admire a coach more than I admire Dan Campbell.
And I think that's the only reason why like he's not number 1 for me is because there is a coach. Like Tom Izzo is my number 1.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring. Yeah,
And like I've been such a fan of his since I was like he was the reason I became a Michigan State like fan. And so like it's still like that old school like mentality of like this is how you coach. This is how you coach players. It may not necessarily be like acceptable in like today's social climate, but like there's still a part of me that's just like reminds me of how I was coached in sports growing up, where it's just like I still love seeing a coach that cares that much.
yeah.
it's a good one.
My 2 was Bowman. I just kind of skipped over, but 2 was Bowman. I don't feel the need to explain that, but like when I was a kid, Detroit sports were bad. Like the Pistons era
outside of the Red Wings.
Yeah, the Pistons era was the Bad Boys era was long gone. The Lions were just middling at mediocrity. The Tigers were bad. The Red Wings were all I had. So like I had a very strong connection to those like 99 through 2000 whatever 4, 6, 8 Red Wings that were so successful, and it was all kicked off by him. And I don't know if there was anything about Scotty Bowman in particular that like resonated with me, because I was more excited about the players at that point. But
But he's like the figurehead.
he is the figurehead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 1 is Chuck Daly.
Oh.
And the reason
Okay.
why Chuck Daly is my number 1 is because I think as far as like studying the quote unquote like history of sports, like basketball was the first sport that I fell in love with, like watching old basketball. And like, I think that was maybe fostered so much in this, like, it was just very romanticized in like Bird versus Magic. And then like, it was these 2 guys going back and forth every year in the 80s. And then who showed up, right? Like the Bad Boys showed up. And it's like Chuck Daly, and he's daddy rich, and he wears these awesome suits, and he like, I mean, the way that you hear like Dennis Rodman speak about him, like he's like the father that he never had, and like his ability to like manage egos led him to being the head coach for the freaking dream team. Like, I don't know, like Chuck Daly, he's like, I think he's just kind of like in this pantheon, and like very like romanticized in a way that it belongs to like my like love of like learning about the history of sports was like those Bad Boys Pistons teams and like just knowing everything about them. Like that was like very formative for me when I was younger. So
A couple people pointing out he coached the Dream Team as well.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I think if I had been, because it's weird, like I loved basketball as a kid, but like I didn't, well, also, so born in 89. So like to Jeremy's point, Bad Boys era was pretty much like long and gone by the time I was actually like aware of basketball. But it's one of those things where like Chuck Daly would have been an honorable mention for me. Like honestly, Bowman, Leland, like if we were just talking about like best coaches, like those guys would have made my list just because of everything they accomplished.
Yeah.
In Detroit.
Yeah.
I think that's also why I had like Daly higher and like Leland higher and Dan Campbell higher than somebody like Scotty Bowman is because of like their personality, right?
Yeah.
Like very forward facing and very authentic and wear their emotions on their sleeves kind of guys. Like,
yeah. If the Lions win a Super Bowl under Dan Campbell, does he jump to your number one?
Ooh, probably. And that's only because like Tom Izzo hasn't won a national championship like in more recent time that I can remember. Like obviously they won one in 2000, but like there have been so many times where I've been like, I was so much more confident that Michigan State would win a championship where like if he had done it in any of those years,
yeah,
like it would be harder to beat. But if Dan Campbell gets this team to win a Super Bowl, like build the statue.
Yeah. No, doesn't have to do much more. To me, he can only harm his reputation from here. And God, I hope he doesn't.
yeah. Interesting enough though, like none of us said, and maybe just because of the era, but like none of us said like Wayne Fonts. And I'm sure like there's probably some people out there who like they
He was
still like, live
charismatic.
and die by him. You know what I mean? Like
that was my formative years too of Lions football, but I think
like a player's coach.
Yep.
Bobby Ross comes in and it's like the antithesis, and
Right.
like he's the one who chased off Barry, right? Like,
And the Lions played that kind of back and forth game seemingly throughout their entire franchise, right? Like it literally happened in the last 3 hires too, right? Like you get a very good players coach. You go Jim Schwartz, kind of a hothead, to Jim Caldwell, very players coach, to Matt Patricia, asshole, to Dan
awesome
Campbell,
defensive coordinator.
Not here.
I'll never forget the hiring of Matt Patricia because I just remember like doing podcasts with Jeremy and like him just being like, oh, that Super Bowl like wasn't so good. Like I'm supposed to be excited about that. Like,
well, like it happened. I remember a very specific tweet, and God, I hope it's deleted by now. Although someone now is probably gonna find it.
if you can, the search function on Twitter sucks.
It's fair, and I don't remember any words that I actually tweeted. I remember it was from the Pride of Detroit account. I think the news had just broke that like the Lions are going to hire Matt Patricia as soon as the Patriots are out of the playoffs. And it was like the AFC Championship game. And they just showed him on the sidelines. I took a picture on my phone and just like drew a heart outline around his face and tweeted it. And I don't even remember if it was the Pride Detroit account or my account, but I just like that has been burned into my own memory of like, don't drink the Kool-Aid too quick.
Is that the biggest like just like fool's gold that has happened to Detroit sports?
Maybe
was like thinking that you were getting something good in Matt Patricia and then finding out, which granted, I know the Lions have like, there's been a number of like bad first round draft picks, but like for me personally, like I think I was there with a lot of people where it's like, hey, you're getting a Patriots coach, you're getting a guy who has coached one of the better defenses
but
for years.
It did come with its reservations, right? Like it was not just that like the Patriots defense was terrible in those playoffs, but the Belichick tree had already been proven to be pretty rotten. The the counter argument to that is, though, that none of them had been paired with a Patriots general manager. And if you could get the coach and the general manager on the same page, maybe that was going to work. Spoiler.
And weren't they all offensive coaches too? Wasn't he like the first defensive?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I just remember like also I think it was what you just said in addition to like.
Are you talking about head coaches?
I just remember thinking
like in succession. Are you talking about like what do you mean like they were offensive coaches?
The Patriots coaches that went on to get head coaching jobs that were under
I was
Belichick.
asking if they were.
There was Romeo Crennel. That did not work out well. Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the majority of them were.
But you could also blame the Browns.
Iserman as GM is a pretty great answer for getting the rug pulled out under you.
Yeah, that might
there's
actually
a couple
be
more, guys. I have a couple more that I'm thinking of right now.
Do we need to go down this road? I don't know if I want to.
I vividly remember buying the shirt from, it was one of the middle stands in the Great Lakes Crossing Mall. That's like hawking, whatever topical shirts. We got Mooch. Steve Mariucci. He was coming off a 10-6 season. Like they were like head coach of the 49ers.
Before,
He's coming back to Michigan. The Michigan guy's coming back home and he's going to fix it. Nope. Nope. Didn't happen.
I see someone say Darko was fool's gold. Darko was not. I think everybody in Detroit universally was like, draft Carmelo Anthony. Like, for the love of God, draft Carmelo Anthony.
There's that, but like nothing that the MCU has done would hold a candle to all the alternative universes that Joe Dumars almost like had play out.
Yeah.
Like he had a trade in place for Allen Iverson before they won that title. He had a trade in place for Kobe Bryant. Like he did eventually pull the trigger on, Allen Iverson when he could get him 7 years later. So that was cool.
For Chauncey Billups of all people.
And Antonio McDyess, dude. I loved Antonio McDyess. And the fact that they didn't win that title in 2005, it was so sad. I had a big Ice for Dice sign that I brought in 2007, and he got booted out of that game when him and Anderson Varejao. It was the game that LeBron in double overtime, game 5.
Yeah, just went crazy.
Just went nuclear. Yeah, like Antonio McDyess, if he doesn't get ejected out of that game, they don't have to play Chris Webber and his number 84 jersey. I have strong feelings about it. The other one is Brad Ausmus. Like going from Jim Leland to Brad Ausmus was like,
yeah,
this isn't as fun.
I'm with Lunatic Fridge. This is not the list cast. You didn't post a trigger warning or anything. Going down this road is very sad.
The minute Ryan said Joe Dumars, I immediately got upset. I just knew where you were going.
All right, I do have some alerts to go through, and then I think we should probably jump right back into Lions training camp talk. I'm Nom, thank you for the 26 months. Says 26, my age. Hey, that makes you a 2000s baby. You're always going to remember your age.
2000 baby.
What?
A 2000 baby.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I meant to say. I said 2000s, as in the decade.
We're both right. But
we're both right. Captain James Kirk 25-bit says, don't let them harass you, young blood. That was 28 minutes ago. I'm not even sure what that's in reference to, but thank you. Captain James Kirk, another 25-bit says, Marty Morningwig, Matt Patricia, Rod Marinelli, Dick Duran, and Steve Mariucci, obviously. And I think that was in reference to the best coaches, not the biggest disappointments. So
Interesting
everyone yell at Captain James Kirk. K Fletch 35 months says it's my Mohammed Ibrahim, Miles Killebrew, Joik Bell, Godwin Igwabuke, and Justin Verlander anniversary. Baseball is so toast. Bring on football. Yeah.
Godwin Igwabuke is a pull.
As I'm sure.
surprised we got through this entire break without hearing Brian's thoughts on the Scooble trade.
Well, that's not even the most recent trade, because 7 minutes before we went live, Casey Mize went to somewhere.
I think San Diego.
Padres?
Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares? That's the thing about baseball. Like, these trades are supposed to get you excited for 3 years in the future. Good luck. Good luck getting a fan excited about trading away the best pitcher in football or best pitcher in baseball for someone who might play in 4 years. Delayed gratification is not something that fandom does.
Exactly. Exactly. Godwin Igwebuike, though, is like the perfect, like, he crawled so Sione Vaki could fly, right? Like, didn't they have the same career trajectory, like safety turned running back?
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yeah. That's funny.
Except Godwin played safety more so at the NFL level. And then, like, it wasn't until he came here that he played running back, right?
I think that's
I'm looking at it right now. He did a little bit of it, but then he played 17 games at running back
in Detroit.
in 2021. Yeah.
Hey, visionaries over here. Austin Mammoth 47 months says, "Hello everybody, how are you?" Everyone answer Austin. How are you doing, chat? And Hacked Up for Barbecue 6 months says, "Are you guys intentionally forgetting John Kuster?"
John Kuster.
Oh,
for the
God. John Kuster. Oh, my.
I don't even know who. I don't know who.
Dude, I think that, Miko, have you heard that story about when Tracy McGrady got there and, like, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone had agreed that they weren't gonna play or they weren't going to warm-ups.
Yeah, and it was, like, only the young guys that showed up or something.
Yeah.
And
they had, like, 8
scratched
guys.
everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they played 8 guys. Crazy.
Oh man.
Those are some dark Piston days.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of them.
I didn't realize they have such a, like, trail of bad coaches.
Corpses.
Oh my gosh, dude! You want another one? Frank Lawrence.
Oh,
sounds like a 19th century painter.
Oh, can I say one more Matt Patricia thing?
Sure.
It absolutely kills me that, like, arguably one of the top 5 most comfortable T-shirts I have ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
One of the most comfortable shirts. It still hangs in my closet to this day like it's the freaking Green Goblin mask. Like, I will not put that thing on, but it's just like, remember me, I'm so comfortable. I'm like, no, I can't.
Yeah, we have not produced a lot of great T-shirts for people to buy. That was like a bestseller, and it was well designed, and it looked cool. And God, if things had actually played out well with Matt Patricia, I wouldn't say it would be iconic, but, like, it'd be a shirt that I would wear with pride. But yeah, I got rid of that thing a long ass time ago.
Well, is that one and the Jim Bob Cooter van?
I might still have that one somewhere.
Oh yeah, Jim Bob Cooter belongs on the same list as Mo Cheeks. So
fair. You know, Lawrence Frank was a bad coach because Ryan just called him Frank Lawrence.
I did call him Frank Lawrence.
I was trying to remember Michael Curry. That was another one that was
Michael Curry. Oh,
all right.
boy.
I'm gonna check on what's going on with the dog real quick, and then I'll be ready to go.
I was gonna say Zazu sounds like he's going through it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there.
He heard us talking about Matt Patricia, I assume.
And he's like, "How dare you?"
He's like, you could be walking me, you could be feeding me, you could be doing absolutely nothing, but at least just being in the room with me, and you're choosing to talk about Matt Patricia.
And not his ample bosoms of all things. Like, you're just talking about him.
Oh boy.
I'm actually kind of curious now. Like, what was, like, Nick the Greek talking about before Matt Patricia? Because, like,
torn genitals is the answer. That's about it. I haven't seen him in a live chat in a while.
I know. Nick, come on. Where you at, man?
If he's here, we just conjured him.
We just summoned him.
Like we just said Beetlejuice 3 times. All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Here in segment 2, we are getting to the biggest risers and players who will need to improve the most as training camp continues to progress. But before we get to that, I do think it's important, Jeremy, that we touch on Jahmyr Gibbs, because obviously that is another pretty big storyline that has been progressing throughout training camp. There's not a ton of news, but I think it does at least bear the question of, listen, we've gotten through the first initial week of training camp. When do we think a deal might possibly get done, or do we think this could be one of those longer holdouts?
It's hard to know. If we go based on track record, then it seems like the Lions would get this done relatively quickly. But then, I think the quote that stands out to me most from this entire saga is Dan Campbell saying, "I thought it'd be done by now." And that tells me this is not like fitting their normal schedule. I'm sure they would have loved to get it done ahead of training camp, and the fact that it hasn't is not a good development. It's not necessarily a hit the panic button. This is a disaster. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to sit out the season type of thing, but we're into uncharted territories, which makes it very hard for me to give even an educated guess of when this is going to end. The one thing we do know, obviously, is that like the Lions love Jahmyr. They want to give him an extension, and this isn't a situation where sometimes you see from other teams that are just like, we dug our feet in, we're not going to pay this guy. Like this just isn't going to happen. So that gives me hope. But because this has gone further into the future than I expected it would have, Campbell would have expected, it does give me a little pause of like, this could go on a little bit longer than I expected.
Yeah, Ryan, where do you sit in terms of like a comfort level? And do you think that part of the reason that this contract probably hasn't gotten done yet is because both Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson's agents are just like waiting for the other one to blink?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting subplot in all of this, is that you have two guys who are in very similar situations. And like you said, Miko, is one just waiting for the other one to put ink on paper and then, hey, I'm better than that guy. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe each of them would have a case that they could make with their respective teams. But I feel confident that they're going to get a deal done. Like, you hear JMO talking about it, publicly. This doesn't at all feel like the Alex Anzalone situation from a year ago where he was holding in. I guess my question is, how long do you let this go on? And I'm not entirely certain if, like, well, I mean, Jeremy, we did have like the little bit of the back, right? The back with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, right. Injury. Yeah, the injury. Yeah, I don't think that's real. I think that's as real as Anzalone's hamstring that he was dealing with last year, where it's just like, if someone in the media room pointed this out, if it was a real injury, he'd be on PUP. Like, he'd be on the physically unable to perform list.
For sure.
I think that is a convenient story for everyone to just. I mean, they didn't even commit to it. I think when Campbell even asked, was followed up on it a day or two later, he's like, yeah, no, it's nothing. So that to me is not a concern. I don't think that really has anything to do with what's going on here. I think, like you, I'm trying to be optimistic about it because, again, it does seem like the Lions are committed to getting a deal done. It's just, I don't know what the holdup is, and without having that information, it's hard to know how and when it gets resolved.
I just have to imagine that they wouldn't have made a move on David Montgomery if they were anticipating this being an issue. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that the Lions would put themselves in this position. They wouldn't put themselves in a corner like this had they known that they didn't have plans on signing Jahmyr Gibbs to a contract, Miko. So, like, I think my ultimate question then becomes, how much longer does this situation need to play out for you to have concerns about like the general vibes?
That's tough to answer because I think for the most part, to Jeremy's point, I feel like everyone on the team kind of understands. Like from the coaches down to the players, I think everyone understands that this is just the nature of the business, and specifically the nature of the business when it comes to running backs. Like, I think if we were talking about any other position, this would be so much more straightforward in terms of, like Jeremy said, like usually doesn't take this long. Like, but because it's running backs and because the NFL still has this weird way that they approach running backs in the sense of like they don't really want to make, it seems like teams don't want to make that big of an investment, even though that is probably or arguably your best offensive player. And I'm not even just talking about in Jahmyr Gibbs' case, but like also in Bijan Robinson's case. Like they are easily, if not the best offensive player on your team, top 3.
Sure.
So like it in a lot of ways, this should be easy to get done. And I think that is going to keep the players at least understanding like, hey, we only go as far as we can if we don't have Ja. So I don't think that necessarily is going to impact the vibes from that standpoint. The fan base is probably the only thing that's really going to get riled up the longer this kind of plays out, Jeremy.
No doubt. And on one end, like, sorry guys, but who cares what the fans think, right? As long as the drama doesn't get inside the building, I don't care how much noise is outside of the building, and I think the Lions feel similarly. The question for me is, how much time will he need to be ready by week 1? How deep into the preseason and training camp are you willing to have for Jahmyr Gibbs to miss before it becomes an issue of him not being ready, of him, maybe even the scenario of like, he signs the dotted line the last day of training camp. Is that enough of a runway? Like, you just like, well, he's Jahmyr Gibbs, throw him out there, we're going to start him anyways. Or listen, like, you're learning a new offense. You need some reps with the offensive line in front of you and getting reps with, one thing that we continually keep saying, like every offseason, is like, well, we want to develop his route tree as an outside receiver. Couldn't do it last year because of injury. Couldn't do it the year before for probably some reason. And now, like, well, that's not going to happen. We've got to put that one on the shelf another year. But I guess the point is like, or the question is, where's that line of demarcation? Like, where's the deadline for him, for you guys to feel comfortable for Jahmyr Gibbs to be Jahmyr Gibbs week 1? Like, when does this hold in have to end?
Part of me says he's Jahmyr Gibbs. He'll just do it, yeah. Right? He's just different. Mm-hmm. The other part of me is what you brought up, Jeremy. Everybody on that offensive line, sans Tate Ratledge, is either new or playing in a different spot.
Yeah.
So I think that matters some, and having a new offensive coordinator matters the most. So like, it just is kind of puzzling to me, Miko, because I felt like after the Terry and Arnold situation, it felt like such an easy layup to just announce this, to be like, forget about that. Forget about that. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs, baby, right? But the thing that you said that is interesting to me is like, you had Atlanta, who drafted Bijan Robinson very high. You had Detroit, who drafted Jahmyr Gibbs very high. These are two teams that clearly value running backs, and they have played well, and now it's time to pay them. For as much as Jeremy says, like, who cares about what the fan base has to say as long as everything in that room is good, the Lions clearly do not care about positional value or pay. Like, I don't think it matters as much to them. That's why I truly feel like this is just like an agent standoff. Like, right. Who's going to sign first?
Because you're not going to draft someone that high if you're not intending on them to be around more than just a rookie contract, right?
I would imagine so, right?
And I think it's worth pointing out, we haven't gotten any type of reports from anywhere that the Lions and Jahmyr Gibbs are far apart. I feel like we've kind of gotten a little bit of the opposite, that like, I think Adam Schefter reported before training camp kicked off, like, this deal could be done in the next week or two. Obviously, who knows how much insight he really had, or if he was just more so throwing out a vague timeline. But I think that's also something that's like, okay, is it really just like, okay, how much guaranteed is that player getting? Because which is the only thing that would irritate me, where it's like, I want $1 or $2 million more than whatever Bijan gets in guarantees. Like, if the language of the contracts are going to be not that drastically different, like there is a part of me more so on the Lions side where it's just like, let's just not play games. Let's pay Jahmyr Gibbs the money that he has earned, and let's play football.
Yeah. I'm hoping he's back by like the midway point of training camp at the latest, maybe right after the first preseason game next week. Other than that, then like I am starting to like consider, is he going to be ready by week 1? And I can't imagine a scenario, even if he does sign towards the very end of training camp, that they would actually bench him or say he's not ready. But I also wouldn't completely dismiss it, right? This is a staff that really values those ramp up periods for players. And I would imagine that doesn't necessarily matter if you're an all pro or a guy that's 52 on a 53 man roster. So we'll see. I hope we can stop talking about it soon because I'd rather talk about everything else. Granted, like we need to talk about it. I'm not saying it shouldn't be a topic, but this team has done a relatively good job avoiding contract drama that I don't like when it's here.
Well, let's do that. Let's move on to things that are a little bit more exciting. And I don't think there's anyone more exciting on this team to talk about right now than what Jameson Williams has been doing in training camp so far. From everything that like has been reported out, Jeremy, it feels like we are really getting an even better version of Jameson Williams than we had last year, who put up over 1,000 yards and looked really impressive. Like, what have you seen from JMO just within this first week and a bit of practice?
I think it was after practice 3 that me and beat writers said the exact same thing independent of each other, which was Jameson Williams has caught more contested catches this training camp than every other training camp, and maybe even the regular season combined. And in a lot of ways, that almost feels like the final puzzle piece for him, where he can use his size, his length, I should say, maybe not size, but also like some gain size, some gain strength to catch those leap balls, those contested catches, those high points where, I mean, it seems like we are so far away from year 1 or year 2 when it's like, oh, he can't track the football. Oh, like anything that he has to catch over his head, like he just can't find the football. Now he's attacking the football. Now he's like the whole, like he's not catching with his hands. He's attacking with his hands. And it's very exciting to see. Now, of course, like the day after we write all those things, the very next day he bobbles a catch and it gets picked off. And you're like, okay, come on, man. Like you gotta stop making me look bad.
Who caught that ball though? Who caught that ball? Was it DJ Reed?
It was DJ Reed, yeah.
Awesome. DJ Reed's back to form, baby. We love it. look at JMO.
Easily, right. Offering the assist to his defensive teammate.
Yeah. But no, I mean, in general, Jameson has been extremely consistent. His game has grown to a point where it's like, what doesn't he do well? I'm trying to remember. What's the thing that he struggles with? And considering, I've said this before, I think I said this last year, like I don't think I've seen personal growth from a player, both in terms of like how he approaches the game, how he reacts with people, how he is emotionally, but more importantly, grow as a football player from year 1 to now, whatever year 5 it is. It's pretty exciting to see.
And Ryan, it feels like it was just a season ago where a lot of people were kind of questioning, like, was this the right decision to pay Jameson Williams this money? And now you're getting this level of growth in addition to the production that he's already put up. Like, how does that change just your viewpoint of the contract that the Lions gave him last season?
I think for as much criticism as like Brad Holmes has gotten over the past year about either the JMO contract, look what happened to Kirby Joseph. How could you not know that about his knee? Now what's going on with Jahmyr Gibbs? What an incredible piece of business Jameson Williams' contract was by Brad Holmes. 3 years, $80 million. And you look at the other wide receivers in that 2022 draft class. Drake London's making $35.2 a year. Garrett Wilson's making $32.5 a year. Chris Olave's making $31 million a year. Are we sure that those guys are better than Jameson Williams? Because I don't think they are. And like that was the subplot of the entire 2022 draft class was Jamison Williams is the fourth guy picked of those four because of the ACL injury, right? Like there's that inherent risk. And if you stack up their numbers next to one another, like Jamison Williams is like an incredibly efficient receiver, like more yards per catch. And I mean, I'm just very happy that the Lions have, like, I think it was the moment that he had with Phip, right? That we saw like him taking off his chains and like putting them on Phip. And it was just so awesome to see the growth as a person, but he's still Jamison Williams.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that guy
Mhm.
is a kid playing football.
Yes. He
And
grew,
it's
he
so
didn't
awesome,
change.
right, that he harnessed all of that while growing as a person. And like he's one of the best stories of like the Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell era, bar none, hands down. From where we were, Jeremy, like you said,
Yeah.
like beyond the football stuff, right? The
Right.
off the field stuff,
Yes.
all of the headaches, all of
Strike
the,
one, strike two. Like this guy could be off the team next week. Like that's the feeling from outside the building for a while.
to where we are now. Like it's awesome. It's just such a feel good story, Miko.
I heard Eric say it, I think, again, in the most recent PODD video, where it's a good reminder for people because that 2022 draft class feels so far away. But Eric said it in the video where he was just like, Jameson Williams was his number one receiver. And it's not because like he was projecting. It was everything that we are now seeing Jameson do, he was already doing in spurts at Alabama. It's just taking him a little bit longer to put it all together at the NFL level.
Yeah. And be more consistent with it. Yeah, no doubt. It's awesome. I'm so excited for his upcoming season and really for his career, man. Like he's still what, 24, 25? He's got a lot of time ahead of him.
I want to move over to the offensive line because this was a position group that we had so much anticipation for. And I think for a lot of it, it has lived up to at least what I was expecting. One of the things that I feel like we were kind of going back and forth about was at the right tackle position in terms of like, okay, how much of a competition is this going to be? It's not really a competition, Jeremy, is it?
I mean, no, I think we had answered on a mailbag in previously, me and Eric, like what day are they just going to like turn over the facade and just be like, no, it's Blake's job. He suggested it might be day one, and certainly it now appears that way. Now, Dan Campbell was asked today, you know, is there a chance that Larry Borom really enters this competition? And of course, Dan Campbell said the thing you have to say as a coach, which is, yeah, like, this is only the first day of pads. Things can very much change when the pads come on. But then he also slipped in, but I expect Blake Miller to continue to improve and continue to grow, which is kind of his way of saying, like, he's already in that spot. I expect him to get even better. It's his spot. It would take an injury. It would take some sort of catastrophic, like, stalling of talent for some other reason for Blake Miller not to win the right tackle job at this point. It's his. Borum's going to be a nice jumbo tackle. He's going to be a nice fill in at both tackle spots. And that's that. And I'm fine with that. That's how it was supposed to go. And the other aspect of all this is I do think the Lions are going to want to figure out their starting offensive line sooner rather than later so that they can develop that chemistry, so that they can build the expectations for week one and hopefully hit the ground running in a way that they kind of failed to do last year.
Ryan, is there any part of you that wished this had been more of a competition, or is it more just confirmation that the Lions made the right choice in Blake Miller and he's proving them right, like each and every practice?
Yeah, and I mean we'll talk about it in the post show where you can jump on Twitch or YouTube, right? But like the Inside the Den, like hearing the Lions talk about Blake Miller, some of that obviously we lovingly refer to it as organizational propaganda. But one of the striking things to me was you can see the timestamp. The draft had just started, and Dan Campbell's talking about tackles, and he's like, "Man, you know what helps though is how much we've come around on Miller. Like we really like that Miller guy. So like." They clearly liked other tackles, but they also really liked Blake Miller. And I'm glad that he's playing as well as he is. But I think the thing that's kind of understated, and Jeremy brought it up, is that Larry Borum as your, hey, you just kind of like lucked your way into a guy who has starting experience, can back up that spot at right tackle, is reliable. And I think like this development with Miles Frazier is like, well, you can kind of keep Larry Borum at right tackle if you feel good about Miles Frazier, who, you know, granted it's been a while since he's played left tackle, but he played left tackle exclusively at FIU before he transferred to LSU. So like maybe you can keep Larry Borum at right tackle in case of emergency, but like that's like a good thing to have in your pocket. We talk about tackle depth in the NFL. Some teams don't even have one.
Right.
Right? The Lions might have three, which is fantastic.
And a half? And a half?
Yeah,
like,
and a half.
Listen, like my stock on Miles Frazier has absolutely shot up in the past 2 days.
That's awesome. That's really good news for the Lions.
And it's not just his play. Like, I don't think people realize how crazy what he's doing in training camp is. Because it's not just like, oh, one day he's going to be playing some tackle, one day he's going to be playing some guard. It's like, this series you're going to be right tackle, the next series you're going to be left guard, the next series you're going to be right tackle, the next series like right guard. Like, you're jumping position to position, having to so like hard. Have the right, like, you hear all of the crazy things that people say about moving. Oh, I got to move from left tackle to right tackle this year. That's going to be a challenge. He has to do it from rep to rep in practice. Sometimes in one-on-ones, like he'll be right tackle, and then like the next time they do the one-on-ones, you got to move over to left guard and go face a nose tackle now. Like, it's crazy what he's doing just from a mental aspect, and to also be playing pretty darn good is highly encouraging for the depth of this team. And I was saying it on PODD today. I almost feel bad for him, though, because I think a lot of people were hyped to see him in the left guard competition, and I'm not sure he's really entered that or will enter that at some point. It feels like that is either Barch, Scruggs, or Mahogany. He hasn't really gotten much of those left guard reps so far. And given the fact that Mahogany is kind of slowly coming along, and given the fact that Barch hasn't done any team stuff yet, I'm not sure he's going to enter that conversation soon enough to realistically contend for a starting job this year.
Yeah, that is probably the downside of like what he's been able to do, but the silver lining, at least that I'm looking at and probably just going to try to speak into existence, is that if he continues to play well at all of those different spots, sure, you may not necessarily be in the left guard competition, but sure enough, there's going to be a winner of the left guard battle. If it ends up being Christian Mahogany or Ben Barch, I'm still not sure that like Miles Frazier isn't the first person to replace one of those guys if they go down. If they don't turn to him and just be like, you know what, he's repped everywhere, he knows all the spots. We just feel more comfortable with Miles in there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was kind of Eric's response to me too. Is like, he's going to find his way onto the field at some point this year. Like he can just fill in too many spots. That having a guy like that is invaluable to a team, and it's it's going to get him some work at some point.
I feel like the rest of the offense, Ryan, has been pretty much like what we've expected. There were a lot of questions, though, about the defense and specifically the secondary and specifically the corners. Is DJ Reed going to look like his old self, like he did in the beginning of last season? Is Rockison up to the task of being CB2? Can Ennis push him at CB2? What have you at least seen or read about that camp battle that at least has you really excited about what the Lions have specifically at outside corner?
I think from just what I've read and, observations and editing a lot of articles, like it does seem like the vibes for DJ Reed are trending in the right direction. Like DJ Reed is looking much more like the guy that they signed to a 3-year, $48 million contract, which is such a huge relief. I think that was arguably one of the biggest questions facing the defense coming into this season. When you compounded that with what happened with Terry and Arnold, it's like, do you have an outside cornerback who can be a guy against a league where you play in the NFC North? It's a buzzsaw of wide receivers, right? So yeah, like having DJ Reed look like himself is awesome. I guess my question for Jeremy from what he's seeing is that, like, how much longer can Ennis Rakestraw and Rockison be splitting snaps at the opposite outside cornerback before, like, eventually? And I mean, like, the pads have a lot to do with it, right? Like, sure, having the pads come on, that changes things. We know, like, Ennis Rakestraw's history, but, like, how much longer do you want to be, like, splitting these reps And do you think that Ennis Rakestraw even stands a chance at unseating like the veteran? Because it just doesn't seem like it seems like he has such an uphill climb.
Yeah, it's tough because I think all three of those guys are playing pretty darn well right now. DJ Reed especially, like I said on PODD several times now, like him and Amon-Ra St. Brown against each other is must-see TV. It feels right now, and I know this is going to sound like an exaggeration. Maybe it is, maybe it is. It feels like Hutchinson versus Sewell a little bit, where it's just toe for toe, iron sharpening iron. You never know how this particular rep is going to go because those two are going to battle. And then I think Rock is also playing fantastic. Like, he's very physical. He's been giving Isaac Teslaw hell all camp. I think part of the reason, I know some people are a little concerned about Teslaw and how he's looked so far, and I think it's mildly warranted, but I think the physicality of Rock is what has been giving him the most issues. Is just the jam at the line, the physical nature. He's not going to relent at any point in your route, and it's made Rock look really good, but it's made Teslaw look like, hey, you're not used to getting jammed at the line on the outside because you had all these,
Free releases
inside in college at the slot. And so that's part of his game that's going to need to grow, but going against Rock Ya-Sin every practice is going to help him develop that. And then like Ennis hasn't made a ton of plays, but man, all these like contested catches that we're talking about with JMO or like one-handed grabs that we're seeing from some like Cedric Wilson, it seems like every time it's going up against a very like in phase, good spot Ennis Rakestraw, and it's just like,
oh no, it's Nevin Lawson.
I have conjured his name this training camp because it does feel like that a little bit, and now Ennis is also getting a pretty significant load at the nickel now too, and that to me, like I. Almost like the offensive line, like, hey, we got to find our starting five quick enough. Like you said, like it almost feels like they have to figure out where everyone is going to fit in the secondary so they can start building chemistry there. But they are playing with so much right now. Like McCreary's inside and outside, Abney's inside and outside, Rakestraw's inside and outside. Now you have Christian Isian in the nickel conversation, and so does that force more guys on the outside? I don't know how it's going to look when the dust settles, but I would say right now that Rock and DJ Reed have separated themselves with a little distance from everyone but one person who was not even in the conversation before.
We talking about Nick Whiteside?
We sure are.
Because that is the one player right now. It's going to make Nick Whiteside is going to make cut down day so incredibly difficult if he continues to play. Like if his practice performances translate into preseason games and continue throughout practice, Jeremy, how do you not find a spot for the kid?
Well, so this goes over to a conversation we had during our break here, which is how do you project good training camp performances into good performances on the field? And part of the challenge with Nick Whiteside right now is he's going up against a bunch of former UFL guys, right? He's going up against mostly 2s and 3s. I would say probably heavier on the 3s than the 2s. And so, listen, he's like, when you play the way that he's playing, and listen, Dan Campbell talked glowingly about him in a way that felt like, because I think a lot of times we get excited about, oh my gosh, this guy had a really good play here and there. Let's talk about this UDFAs no one's talking about. And then Dan gives like a really reserved response, like, yeah, he had a good day yesterday. He's still learning, he's still growing as a player. He's inconsistent, but like, we like
how he's progressing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not how it was with Nick Whiteside. Like, let me read
multiple occasions, right?
Multiple occasions now, but like today especially, he says, quote, Whiteside has made plays every day, special teams and on defense every day. There has not been a day, we've had 4 practices where he has not made plays. So this is about to get interesting. It's going to be really interesting. He did not hold back. And yes, like Whiteside has proven he can do it in one game in the NFL. He was great in the Bucs game. Not going to take that away from him. But I think when you hear that quote from Dan, I think like he's going to get a promotion and they're going to see what he's going to do. How can he do with the 2s? How can he do I don't know if he gets to the 1s, but like, I think the hype here is relatively real. The problem for me is I don't know how you fit him on the roster. We just got done talking about the safety logjam. If Kirby or Branch can make it off the pup, what do you do at the corner position where you already have guys that like Reed, Rock Ya-Sin, Rakestraw? I mean, I might start putting McCreary on the bubble at this point, but like Abney's going to make the team. So you got like 4 guys there for sure. I think Khalil Dorsey is, I know people aren't going to agree with me, but I think he's a lock just because of how important he is on special teams. And so now it's McCreary versus Whiteside. Like for your cornerback 6, when you're already maybe keeping 5 or 6 safeties, 12 DBs is a lot.
Guess it kind of depends too on like what happens with Brian Branch, right? Like what happens with Kirby Joseph. Like
Yes.
if there's some fudging of the numbers that happen there because of injuries and pup and so on and so forth, like maybe that's how you get him on the roster. But Jeremy, I even think the quote after day 1 where Dan says, we get him back with us here, and look, he's all about business. What has been their mantra all off season long?
Sure.
He goes, it's not too big for him. He's all about business, and he's going to maximize everything he's got. And he looks like he wants a spot and he wants a job, and that's what he looks like. He says, I mean, I know it's day 1, but he made more plays than anybody out there.
Yeah.
And like you said, on Monday, he's still talking about the plays that he's making, and he's talking about the special team stuff. So
that's
it's like,
key there too. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like if you want to give Khalil Dorsey, incredible special teams player, but I mean, Ironsides, I don't know. It's exciting. Dan's right. He's right, Miko. It's like it's about to get interesting.
I've already jumped the gun, and it probably is early, but I think like in the most recent like roster bubble, like I think I had him in over Dorsey. And I think like, and it may literally come down to like last preseason game, last practice, whatever, of him being able to show that he can do more than just go out there and play corner, but like, can you do the special team stuff? Because essentially that is what it's going to take because of everyone that you just listed that is more than likely going to play before him. But this is a guy that you're just like, if he continues to play, like if what we see in practice translates to preseason games, and I understand preseason games aren't everything, but like that's when other teams start to be able to see these players and being able to see what they can do. It becomes that question too, Ryan, of like, well, if we cut him, do we think we get him back on waivers?
Yeah. It's an age-old game that we play every single year.
Right.
You know? But Jeremy, as far as I had a quick roster construction question, because like it does feel like tight end and linebacker are 2 very interesting. How many are we going to keep?
Sure.
And I don't know how much like those 2 positions specifically impact how many players we keep at cornerback.
It matters,
In terms
right?
of just number, right?
Because all 3 of those positions are heavy special teams. Linebackers, tight ends, DBs. That's your special teams core right there.
Especially when you have Greg Dortch, who apparently is doing all the return stuff, right?
Right, yes. So when you're talking tight end 4 versus corner 6, like that's a legitimate competition, even though they play different positions. Like those are the guys that you're having conversations about for 51, 52, 53 on the roster. And you take into account age, you take into account, specific special teams roles, ability to fill in on defense or offense, contract, like all those stuff matters. And I thought it was really interesting because after he did his long soliloquy on Nick Whiteside, he went on to the next question, and then like something clicked in his head, and he's like, "Oh, and Khalil Dorsey. Like, don't forget about Khalil Dorsey. He's still doing good things for us too." So it is going to get interesting. I don't know other way to put it. I think Dan said it. Like it's going to get interesting. And I hate to say this, but this is also tends to be true. Sometimes these sort of things work themselves out in ways that are beyond the player's controls. And I'm not so hinting at like injury can make things a little bit clearer, and typically does.
Let's transition into everyone's favorite topic, every Lions fan's favorite topic. Let's talk edge, because I think this is another group that has been much more exciting than I probably than we initially thought it would be, especially after Derek Moore getting injured. You have guys like Tyler Lacey and Ahmed Hassani that are like generating a lot of buzz because of their performance at the big end spot. A spot that I don't think a lot of people probably put a lot of stock into leading into training camp. Like it was primarily which guys are going to get to the quarterback. and you have two guys that one is a veteran and another guy that Jeremy, we were kind of questioning if the move to big end was a good thing for Ahmed Hassanin.
Yeah. And really quick, I just want to explain big end to people. That is when the Lions are not in nickel. They're in their base defense. So you generally have Derek Barnes as your Sam linebacker outside of the big end. So your big end has a pass rusher, Derek Barnes, outside him. Your job is to hold the edge in the run game and then like penetrate over bigger offensive linemen than you would on the edge there. So anyways, yeah, it's been Tyler Lacey almost consistently every single day going back to the spring. And I think in the spring, you're like, oh, well, that's because Levi's working his way back in and you're not going to give it to some of the young players. But no, like Tyler Lacey is a guy that they like a lot. And he's a guy that, you know, Dan Campbell gave the whole, like, he's everything we're about type of speech. And he had an awesome day-to-day at camp. And for as much of like all the nickel talk is getting, and that's when you do get to see more DJ Wanham, more Derek Moore when he's healthy and things like that, like they're still going to play a lot of base. I hate to break it to you guys, but they're going to play a lot of base, and that means that big end role is important. And I do think Tyler Lacey right now is in the pole position there. I think he is the guy that they trust the most in that role. I do think Levi will eventually enter that conversation, but he's been playing so much 3-tech at this point that that's something that he's going to have to grow to and challenge to as we get further down the line. But Hassanin is also hot on his toes, man. Like, I don't know what to say, man. Some of the hype finally seems a little bit real because I feel like we have these high energy late draft pick guys that come around all the time, and the fans get way more excited about them than you know the Lions do or the people that are watching every practice do. He's starting to put it together. Both as a run defender and as a pass rusher. I mean, some of the explosiveness is just really incredible to see, and he still has to get stronger, or at least show he can play stronger. I think physically he might be as strong as he needs to be, but he is going to make this not only a competition, I think, to make the 53-man roster, but I kind of have him firmly in now and wondering how much of a role he can build out for himself on defense this year, which is way beyond my expectations a week ago.
Ryan, when you hear that like all of these guys at the same spot are playing so well, like Jeremy even said, Levi's obviously playing a lot more at the 3-tech than he is probably at the 5, but it is a role that we know that he can play. Is there any level of concern that like there's not enough space for even like these 3 guys?
Well, Tyler Lacey is a guy who maybe back in the spring you're like, I don't know, maybe he's on the bubble. Nope, not on the bubble. Like that guy is going to make the roster. He plays a very important role. The Lions love stopping the run. I think what's really interesting when you look back at his numbers, he was primarily like a 3-tech guy when he was with Jacksonville. Yeah. And it's almost like Detroit was like, no, we have a spot that's way more perfect for you. And maybe he won't be the flashy guy in terms of generating a whole lot of pressure, but that really won't be his main job. But it's an important job. And like Jeremy said, stopping the run feels as much like a you got to eat your vegetables statement here in Detroit. But if the Lions want to get back to being a team on defense who, you know, earns the right to rush the passer on 3rd down, but also maybe has some better communication on the back end so they don't give up so many air yards. Hopefully, you know, they do get more opportunities to put Wanham out there and Derek Moore when he's healthy, and we get to see more Derek Barnes as a pass rusher, right? Ahmed Hassanin, though, like that was a guy that I know a lot of us had out in the first week of Bubble Watch, and then by week 2, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe there is room for all of these guys. Levi's versatility, I think, keeps him obviously instead of Ahmed Hassanin if it comes down to making a decision between those 2 guys, I think. But, I mean, can we just do a why not both? Why not both? Like, let's just figure it out.
I think part of like the question when I'm trying to stack this roster is if it comes down to keeping a 3rd rush end versus a 3rd big end, would I rather have Peyton Turner or Ahmed Hassanin? And obviously Peyton Turner has made that a very easy conversation so far.
Yeah, it's funny because I think leading into training camp, I even felt like, okay, Peyton Turner and Ahmed Hassanin, and in the distance, just going off of spring hype, Anthony Lucas were all competing for the same spot. it now, to your point, Jeremy, it feels like because one guy is out there and he is playing well, has made this decision a lot easier. And while it may not be the type of the type of player that fans would want, they would prefer someone that was a more rush end. The way that Kelvin Shepherd probably deploys this defense does not mean that you can't still get those opportunities. Like we've heard enough, or there's been enough observations from camp early on about how Levi has gotten penetration, how Ahmed Hassanin has gotten penetration into the backfield, how Tyler Lacey has gotten penetration. Like, just because you have this title of big end doesn't mean that you're not still responsible for getting to the quarterback if you have the opportunity to do so.
I'm with you.
I do want to say before we get out of here, because we hit on a lot of guys that seem to be impressing, is there anybody or a couple of guys from you, Jeremy, that you're just like, you had high expectations for and they just haven't quite hit that mark for you, at least after the first week in camp?
Yeah, I mean, the first guy that comes to mind, and I don't want anyone to panic about it, it's definitely Isaac Sislaw. He's had a rough go of it. You know, he had a set of, I think, 5 red zone one-on-ones and did not catch a single pass. It's the physicality that he really needs to improve upon, and that's consistent with, I think, what everyone expected from him. He's got the size, but he's never had to use it on the outside, and so that's an adjustment in role. It's something that he got a little bit better as the season went on, but I don't think he ever became a fully formed guy. And with all the kind of offseason hype that we got from coaches around him, it's certainly been a little disappointing to see relatively little production on the field so far. And you know, some of that might still be Goff stuff where he's more comfortable going to JMO. He's more comfortable going to Sam Laporta. He's more comfortable going to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that doesn't leave a ton of balls to go to him during some of these team drills. But at the same time, to see him lose it on the one-on-ones, I think has been particularly disheartening, so to speak. Dominic Lovett, kind of staying in the wide receiver room, is a guy that I needed to show me a lot and didn't really do it through the first 3 days of practice. I think he kind of turned it on a little bit in the past couple days, and so he's on an upward trajectory, and that's promising for him. And then Meeks, I think, is the other one. We kind of touched on it a little bit in the first half. He now has an opportunity. He hasn't been bad or good. Like, he's been pretty neutral all camp, but he hasn't climbed the depth chart. He hasn't gotten a lot of things with the ones or twos. But now with Kitzelman out, with Ferkser, we'll see. With Conklin still working his way back, I think this is a good opportunity for him to make his case. Because while I think a lot of fans were really excited about Amon Hassanin and turned out to be right, I don't think they've been right yet about Jackson Meeks' move from wide receiver to tight end. They could still be right, but I think he has to build his way up there, and he hasn't quite done that yet.
I just had one question about one player, and I think you may have tucked a note in one of your observations about this guy, but don't feel like I've heard a lot about Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah. No, I mean,
he seems pretty important right now.
He is. Yeah. And I think it was a nice reminder today when Vaki went down. It's like, oh, the depth beyond there is looking shaky. I like the explosiveness. I like the speed.
You think you see it though?
I do.
Yeah.
It was interesting today, though, seeing some of the one-on-one stuff, because one of the most iconic one-on-one drills we've seen for the past 3 years in training camp is Jack Campbell versus Dave Montgomery. A back-and-forth battle. It reminded you that Montgomery was a lot shiftier than his reputation preceded him. I have not seen that aspect of Pacheco's game yet. I do wonder, though, if it actually went live reps, if he just he introduced some of the physicality against Jack Campbell, maybe that rep would look a little bit different.
Yeah. That with the pads coming on too, I think one of the biggest points of intrigue too is pass pro, right?
Yeah. Yep.
How physical can you be in that respect too, which is going to be very important.
Yeah. We did not get any. Everyone loves OLDL when the pads are on. I love running back pass protection against blitzing linebackers. That's also a very fun and telling rep. We didn't get any of those today. I imagine that's coming later this week though.
Well, that's basically just the start of training camp, though. Like we said, I think it's only going to get that much more intense. We're only going to see more and more players start to rise and hopefully be able to show more of their talent. Like we've kind of hinted at, there's guys that have been coming back from injury that are still kind of, it seems like, getting worked into the mix. Christian Mahogany, Sam Laporta. who again, guys who are having good camps as well, but probably just not at the same clip as some of these guys that are just getting a few more reps instead of them. So that's the thing that I know I'm still very much looking forward to as camp kind of progresses. And the beauty of all that is that fans can stay locked in on all of that information in one of two ways. Well, one of three ways. You can either just go over to prideofdetroit.com, check out all the articles and observation articles that Jeremy, Eric, Al, and everyone else is kind of putting out, and that's going to keep you locked into everything that's going on over there. Or you can choose to check out Pride of Detroit Direct and go ahead and go to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe. It's $50 for the entire year, and that's going to get you just even more insight into what is happening. Jeremy and Eric do an amazing job of recording these not too long after practice, and they run through so many things that have occurred, and without obviously getting themselves in trouble, but giving you a really good insight into what it's like to be at Lions training camp. So if that's something that you're looking for, you can easily do that by subscribing there. And then obviously Morgan and I are going to be trying to provide some more video content as well, reacting to some of the things that are happening at camp. So you have a couple of ways of still staying locked in and getting all the information that you need when it comes to Lions training camp. But before we get out of here, we have been on a steady climb to getting 1,000 reviews over on Apple Podcasts. I believe we are now at 999.
989.
Exactly.
We're 11 short.
Okay. We're 11 short. But Jeremy, you said that you had a couple of reviews to read off today. So apparently that we have a lot that we haven't got a chance to read. So we're going to start working through some of those.
We all of them from 2 months ago came flooding in at once 3 weeks ago, and we haven't had an opportunity to get through them. I'm not sure where we left off, but I'm just going to go to Rye Smooky. 5-star, says good show. Quote, it's like watching your uncles talk about football, but with less swearing, and they actually know what they're talking about. We may have read that one before. That one sounds familiar.
We might have, but you can play the hits.
Yeah, that was a great one. I love that one. You got one you want to read?
I have. Do we read Lion Adam from San Diego?
No idea.
See, this is the other thing about Apple Podcasts is I can't see the reviews in chronological order.
Yes.
It's not nice,
yep.
But this one, the title is The Lions Show That Sets the Standard. 5 stars a week ago. I listen to everything I can on the Lions, and this is my first listen. They are true Lions fans, but always inform and bring up great points. All of them seem like truly great, kind people. Oh, okay. Miko has been a fun addition to Jeremy and Ryan. Eric has truly made me a more educated fan, and I find myself listening to his podcast 3 or 4 times so I can get every last morsel of knowledge. I love what Morgan brings, and I would incorporate him more. Noted. My biggest compliment is that someone, maybe this is supposed to be complaint, but my biggest complaint is that someone told me that if you listen to the commercials instead of skipping, that the podcasters make more money, and these guys are such good people and make my days more fun, so I listen to every ad. Please tell me that isn't true. Thanks, guys. I don't know if that's true.
I will say we personally don't get paid like that. That might be true. Our podcast might make more money, but that doesn't go straight to us, if that makes sense.
If you want something to do, buy beef jerky or sign up for PODD. And if you want to do both, then awesome.
Or even beyond that, Twitch and YouTube subscriptions. Those go directly in our pockets too. So if you are looking for ways to support us, listening to commercials on our podcast, probably not going to do it. But watching the commercials on YouTube, watching the commercials on Twitch, subbing on Twitch or subbing on YouTube, those are ways that does support us directly.
For sure. You got another one?
And the jerky. Yeah, sure. Let's go. I'm going to go with a relatively long one here from Alex F041. 8+ #1 podcast says, Miko, Righteous Felon ad reads, 5 stars, 10 out of 10, no notes. Jeremy, Righteous Felon ad reads, 3 stars, 7 out of 10, should probably take some notes. Jokes aside, I listen to all the Lions podcasts, and POD, not the band, is in a tier of their own, and it isn't particularly close. That's not to say that others are bad. They're not, but none compared to the depth of knowledge, quality analysis, and chemistry POD provides. I long lost track of the times that I generally laughed out loud and genuinely felt like I was having a conversation with my best friends about the team I love. If you're a Lions fan, looking for your next podcast, look no further. P.S. Eric Schlitt. See, Eric, we do sometimes mention you from time to time.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
I have one more to read.
All right.
It's titled My Favorite Lions Pod. I can't see what it says in parentheses, but it's from not Eric's burner. This podcast has grown to be my favorite Lions podcast. Miko has been a great host. Ryan is always a joy, and I love Jeremy and Eric's chemistry on the mailbag episodes. My only criticism is we could use more Eric. I'm missing his long deep dives on the breakdown pod. So,
well, where can you get more Eric, Miko?
Detroit Lions breakdown, right?
I was trying to get you to do another PODD pitch, but okay, that works.
Yeah,
too.
you can also do that.
We don't make money off that, Miko.
Yeah, but I like supporting my friends. You know what? So sue me.
Yes, but the Detroit Lions Breakdown podcast with Eric and Joe Kenya is a very fun podcast. They don't update as much as I think they both would want them to, but it is a very good in-depth show that I would recommend.
But Eric does have to put out more stuff on Pride of Detroit Direct, so you can also subscribe to that and hear from him way more often. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for today's podcast. We appreciate you all for taking the time to listen. Like I said, you have all these different ways that you can stay locked into Lions news. Head over to the website, check out Pride of Detroit Direct, or check out our YouTube channel. We really appreciate you guys, and we will see you guys in the next one. I'm Miko. He's Jeremy. He's Ryan. Thank you guys for listening.
All right. Let me get to a few alerts here. I am sweating, so I'm going to open some windows in a second here. Where was I? The Pintar, thank you for the 32 months. And of course, your 32 month is, yes, indeed, the branch anniversary. Matt Sick, thank you for the 35 months. Appreciate you. And Expel Spread Cheeks. Thank you for the 4 months. So my body is ready for a shit game on Thursday. Injected into my veins.
Any relation to Mo Cheeks?
Are you guys going to watch on Thursday? And if so, how long do you think you're going to make it?
No.
I'll bet on it.
You'll bet on the outcome?
Yeah, I always do. I always bet on the Hall of Fame game because then it gets me to watch the entire thing. I don't bet anything ridiculous. I don't bet anything.
That's
silly
still.
on it.
Is it enough to buy? Is it more or less than what you spent on 100 nuggets?
About the same. By
the way, I'm not gonna name names.
Surprisingly the same. Yeah.
But there was someone within the Lions organization that came up to me today and they were like, I watched your stream where you did 100 up downs and ate 100 nuggets, and the other guy ate a bunch of nuggets, and I'm not sure which one was like more hard to watch.
Okay. Well,
So
I can tell you which one didn't feel as good the next day.
I had someone.
I know. That's what I meant. You.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I can't tell chat who, but I can tell you guys after. But someone also said something to me after being like, "Oh, I checked out your podcast," and they paused, and they were like, "It's very interesting." And I had to think back, and I was like, "Oh."
You caught us during accountability week. Don't judge us.
Yeah. Listen, that deep into the off season.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, the timing of this." Yeah, no, this wasn't great.
Oh man.
Gosh.
Yeah, you're gonna be.
I'm gonna refund all these mozzarella stick shirt requests because I only saw it like right as we were starting the segment, and you wouldn't get your money's worth if I threw it on now.
You're gonna be at Pine Knob, so are you gonna even check in on what's going on?
No, given the company I will have, it's not appropriate to be on my phone.
End the podcast, end the stream, end everything right now.
Yeah. There you go. Bet is made.
I thought you were showing that you're taking Zazu to the concert.
Oh yeah.
That's the company he's gonna have. It wouldn't be appropriate.
Wouldn't be appropriate. It's Zazu's favorite band. That's not.
That's right. I don't know how to transition out of that. How many channel points to wear the mozzarella stick shirt to Pine Knob? I think you'd have to donate. I don't think when you use channel points, I get nothing. The only thing that happens is you have now less channel points.
Channel points are valuable, though. They become very
me.
valuable during the season.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know why?
Not that down. Not
Madden
that
straight.
Yeah, exactly, Miko.
But how much? I don't know. I'd have to consult. I'd have to consult to answer that question.
What was the question?
How much would you have to donate for me to wear the mozzarella sticks to the 5 Seconds of Summer concert?
If it's not appropriate to text, then it's definitely not appropriate to wear that shirt.
I think 50
Oh, I
subs might do
disagree.
it. I think 50 subs might do it.
I think if your company can't appreciate a finely made mozzarella stick shirt, I don't know how great of a company they are.
I disagree. I don't know if I'd want to be seen in person.
50
public.
subs. 50 subs. I'll commit to it right now.
Every man has a price.
And it
is what
doesn't
we're
have to be
learning
it doesn't have
today.
to be one person. If all of Twitch chat wants to combine, and you can throw YouTube subscriptions in there. I feel like we almost never get any YouTube sub alerts, but combine subs on YouTube and Twitch from now, I'll give you guys till 9 p.m. I don't know if I really want to be on 16 minutes, but I'll give you photo proof. I will tweet it out Thursday night.
And not to dox me, but like you're not too far from me. So like maybe
You want to get lawn tickets?
I
Chat,
don't want
you
to
guys
pay.
can come. You know where I'll be Thursday night now. If you're if you're not watching football, if you're not going to the Foo Fighters concert, come find me in the mozzarella stick shirt.
I can't wait to see the tweet, like of someone just like taking a picture of you from afar and be like, he's actually wearing it.
Oh boy.
My question is it appropriate for a 40-year-old man to watch an old foreign boy band?
And how much does that math change when you put him in a mozzarella stick shirt?
Captain James Kirk, 10 gifted subs. Man, it's been a while since we've done this. When we've had like a sub goal.
That is true. I even forgot about that alert with the dancing in the end zone.
Uh-huh. Alien Vivitor with the 20 gifted subs. Here's where I'm like, I know it's over already because Madi Too Hottie is very eager to get a number, and he hasn't gifted any subs yet, and now we're only 20 away.
There it is.
There it is for Madi Too Hottie.
So Jeremy's wardrobe for Thursday night is already picked out.
50 was too low. You just found that out really quick. You gave them, that was at 8:44. You said, I don't know if I want to give you till 9. It took 2 minutes.
Well, what this tells me is that we should be doing things like this way more often. Because Chad just gave up. To be clear, those are $6 a sub now. And so Chad just spent $300 on us just for one photo of me in a mozzarella stick shirt. If that's all that costs,
first of all, thank you, chat.
I don't need to write lines things anymore.
All right, another 50 subs for him to mosh to 5 Seconds of Summer.
Hold on, I got lawn tickets. I don't think anyone moshes on the lawn.
Ask Miko. You can pick up some sod and start throwing it.
Throw sod.
I don't know if it's gonna be tolerated at this concert. I don't think it works if you're the only one doing it.
And in a mozzarella stick shirt, you're getting escorted out.
Yeah, immediately.
I'll also say this: there is rain in the forecast Thursday.
So wait, how many subs to like get you to wear the mozzarella stick scarf with it.
I don't think I could wear the scarf all night. That's too much.
No.
Would I throw on the scarf for a photo if we get to? God, now I feel like I need to set it way high.
Would
I don't even know where the scarf is.
Would I
Bucky's
smuggle
onesie to a concert.
Would I smuggle the 18 missing nuggets I haven't eaten into 5 seconds of summer and eat them on the lawn while starting a Jared Goff chant? I don't know how many subs I'd do that for, but we could probably figure it out.
Are they still? They can't still be in that trash can.
Oh, I think they might be. Can I go check?
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. I agree, Darth Tater. This does feel like a gateway to OnlyFans. I'm not sure I'm comfortable going down this road, especially if it's not for charity. It feels a little easier. Oh my God, they're still there. No.
The scary thing is that they're probably not even close to being moldy. Like they probably look the exact same when Ryan was.
Oh no! I see dark spots. No. Oh no. I will not allow you to eat those. How does that room not stink to high heaven?
1,000 subs, I'll eat one. No,
I'm
kidding. I'm kidding.
No.
The amount of eat its.
Ryan's out here trying to start COVID-19 part 2 off of nuggets.
Oh boy.
Well, now we know how these streamers get so popular so fast. They promise their chat ridiculous things, and people are just like, "I'll pay money to see that."
Here's the thing: if we were going to plan on being on here until 9, how much is it to get into this concert?
I think you can get lawn tickets for like $30. That's what I think. That's what I paid originally.
Well, I've never used Viagogo, but it looks like it's $24.
StubHub. What do we got on StubHub?
$32. Is that what you're saying?
Went wrong. I got an error. Must be sold out. All of chat bought up all the tickets. Just to seek me out.
Well, not really seek you out, but hold you accountable. You can frame it that way instead.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a really weird sighting where like so many people are there to see like the band play, and they're like, "Hey, why is everybody taking pictures with the guy in the mozzarella section?"
Yeah, 42 on SeatGeek is what I see. Yeah, I don't. You know what? So we're gonna have a midweek mailbag this week, probably on Wednesday. I don't know what time yet. So if you guys want to think of more things that you want me to potentially do during this concert, I will listen to ideas on the midweek mailbag. But I think I'm only willing to commit to what I've already committed to at this moment.
I love the fact that you have to now explain this to your company that like, hey,
they'll be fine. Probably. If they're not already watching.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw it out there. Like, if we get 50 more subs, I'll try to smuggle nuggets into Pine Knob.
Those nuggets?
Not those nuggets. I'll buy new ones.
So
I'll try to snuggle in new nuggets and take a picture with you in your mozzarella stick shirt.
So to be clear, if we get 50 more subs in the next 8 minutes, you are going to buy tickets to this concert, try to smuggle chicken McNuggets in, and take a picture with me.
Which I think will be super easy to do.
Probably. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Fine. The second challenge has been made. You have 8 minutes, chat. There's 5. 5 from Monkey. Down to 45.
Oh, gosh. Taint nuggets for the win?
Ew.
No.
Ew.
No. There will be a better... There will be
Do
a
the
better
octopus
carrying
version and
device.
just wrap it in saran wrap around your belly.
Oh, okay. There's 10.
5 from Grandpa. There's 10. We need 40 more. 7 minutes.
I might have to text my wife and tell her I have plans on
10
Thursday.
more from Drew Falcon.
God damn it.
We definitely
Yeah.
have to do this more.
Sports turf. I know. Yeah.
10 more from
challenge
J Rago. We're at 30.
I think
Sorry.
we're selling ourselves too short, Jeremy.
No Hall of Fame game for you, Ryan.
Lux to Bulls, you're right. I literally, like 5 minutes ago, just said, "Oh, I think 50 is not a high enough bar."
Then you just immediately agreed to it.
Well, we just got 50. Like, that seems like a lot. All right, yeah, Icarus again. Yeah, there's...
Crazy.
What are we at? We're at 30?
We're at 30. We need 20 more in 6 minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of subs to
That's-
get in 6 minutes
Yeah.
after just getting all those ones we just got. 31. count?
Liberator, thank you for the 13 months. We'll count it. Sure. Any resubs will count. Or first time subs. And this is probably a great reminder that you can attach your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and subscribe to us for free. Doesn't cost you
I
a
don't
thing.
know. You can probably tell them that in like 5 minutes from now.
Even if you're on YouTube, just take 5 minutes to create a Twitch account, link your Amazon Prime account. I know you have one or at least have access to one. And you can subscribe to us for free. It doesn't cost you a thing. It supports us the same way any of these other subs do. Just like those 10 subs from Detroit.
That's
That
41.
gets us to 41. All we need is
am-
9 Twitch Prime subs. And we're there.
I'm just texting my wife right now. I might ask her if she wants to go. I guess before I make any plans, I'll wait to see what happens over the next 5 minutes.
Wait. So the Adam says you have to hide them in your underwear like the guy that got banned from Cedar Point for another 50?
49.
5 more, so we're at 46, right?
Yeah, we're at 46. Yeah, I thought I heard something about a Cedar Point guy. Oh,
That smuggled in chicken nuggets. 47. 48, 49. And there's another 5.
oh.
Wild Brooks, thank you for the resub. Alien
Oh,
Vivid, thank you for
gosh.
5 gifted. Yeah, Detroit, thank you for the 10. J Rago, thank you for the 10. Captain James Kirk, thank you for gifting a sub. And Captain James Kirk, thank you for gifting another 5 subs. Oh, those are the 5.
I really hope you guys enjoy this concert.
To be clear, I'm not staying the entire show, but I'm definitely buying a ticket, buying nuggets, and meeting up with mozzarella stick shirt guy.
Great. My Thursday just got a lot more entertaining.
Oh, man.
Well, if anyone else on POD or any of the POD fans want to go see Ryan and I pound some nuggies and wear a mozzarella stick shirt, Pine Knob Thursday night, probably in the rain.
I feel like Ryan needs to sneak in enough nuggets for the both of you. I feel like you guys need to split some nuggets.
If we get 100 more, Lady in the Tramp style.
Well, I was gonna say we know how many
Whoa.
I'd have to get. And we know how many we'd have to get in order to share them. I'd have to get another 100. He can have 18, and I'll have another 82. One more than Kobe. Hold on. Somebody wants to know, Miko. Alien Vivitor, how many for Miko to join? And it's Alien Vivitor asking you. It's been quite generous, so be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, unfortunately, Miko has to attend a Bible study or host a Bible study, so Miko can't attend.
First, he's just like running a couple miles, and now he's backing out of this stuff.
For Jesus, yeah. How terrible am I?
The holy high road. God, Monkey says God would understand.
Godwin understand? Godwin Igwebuke would understand.
This has come full circle. So.
Darth Vader, thank you for the 32 months. Cam Jakesford, thank you for 25 bits. It says this community is the absolute best. No question about that.
It's hard to argue. Lion's Blood 20. Jesus loves 5 seconds of summer.
Wait a second. On your vacation that you took last week,
Yeah,
you said
no, it didn't happen.
You said you were going to start the Jared Goff chant.
I thought it would have been a good opportunity, and I didn't.
What about the 5 Seconds to Summer concert? Would that be a good opportunity?
For another 25 subs.
You already owe people.
You already have to do
though.
it.
I know, but like I mean, if you want to accelerate the process, it's kind of like this.
Yeah, you know what? I'll
like
join
the
in for
Cedar
the
Point.
25. I don't have to do it, but I'll join in for the 25.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this definitely changes, like, if I'm bringing my wife or not. She's not coming. No. Are you kidding me? She wouldn't find me a viable.
I feel like Jeremy shouldn't be allowed to join in.
Oh,
We'd definitely get video of it if it went down.
that's fair. Yes, we would. We would definitely get
The
video
question
of it.
is, do a bunch of Australian boy band fans even know who Jared Goff is?
What if I can get on the stage and do a Jared Goff chant? I don't know.
I'll be enjoying Everlong while you're enjoying Youngblood.
Is that a song they have?
That I don't know what Youngblood is probably, but Everlong is obviously.
Mighty Too Hottie asked how much for Miko to host a Bible study in the Bucky's onesie.
Every man has a price, clearly, Miko.
It would definitely have to be 100 subs.
Oh, look at that! It's 9 o'clock. Too bad.
I was gonna say honestly, like if we got 100 subs in the month, I'd probably do it.
I mean, we just did. In a matter of 15 minutes, got 100 subs.
I just texted my wife.
So wait,
hey, do you have
yeah,
your
it's
favorite
like
5
every-
seconds of summer song?
It's what, every 2 weeks?
Oh man.
Yeah, it would have to be like before like our next meeting, and I'd do it.
All right, well, think it over, chat. I think we'll close things out tonight because I'm very hot and I have to do some work tonight. And I'm very tired. And you guys will see us Wednesday at some point for the midweek mailbag, and so we can continue our discussion and whatever you want to get us to do. Now that we know there's just been this untapped well of gifted subs right underneath the crust of this show that we have yet to mine.
It's like we think that people can only be charitable and generous in the month of November.
Right.
It's like we only think we'll do ridiculous things in the month of November.
Yeah.
We underestimate chat. We underestimate how.
Oh, hi, Eric.
Eric, how many subs for you to come to Clarkson?
By the way, now we have proof that Eric called it the midweek mailbag and not the main show, so I guess he thinks that's the title.
How many subs to get Eric to tweet something nice about Mike Silver?
There is no amount. Zero amount. But I am waiting to hear him respond.
Or Aaron Rodgers. I'll take it. Good point.
Eric and I hung out outside of work yesterday. Oh, Ryan's wife does not know any 5 Seconds of Summer songs. And
It's gonna make
let
it
me,
even better.
let
She
me
just
tell
needs to
you,
she just needs to get the nuggets in.
the fire for that writer still burns very bright for Eric.
As it should. As it should.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think Eric did that thing where he just dropped in and then bounced, or is listening to us on mute or something.
Or probably being a dad.
That's all right. Someone clip it and then send it to him on Twitter.
There you go. For Eric to say Aaron was right about COVID. Nope. What's this I'm seeing on Twitter about Dan Campbell and Derek Moore? Nothing. I mean, he talked about his injury. Was that today? That was today. 7 to 10 days. But he was very complimentary of him. Let me... Edge, we're hoping about 7 to days here, so just a minor strain, which is good news. It's unfortunate for all the rookies. I mean, all these reps are valuable. You miss valuable time, but also it is what it is. And then the day before, he also was praising him quite a bit. Eric, that doesn't count. That's not a compliment. That's not a nice thing to say about him. All right. Enough filibustering here. We'll see you guys Wednesday at some point for the midweek mailbag. If you're a Pride of Detroit Direct subscriber, you'll see me and Eric tomorrow as we recap day 6 of Detroit Lions training camp. Again, if you're not a subscriber yet, go to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe to become a Pride of Detroit Direct subscriber. $50 for an entire year's worth of content, and that is not like just a calendar year. That is the day you sign up to the 2027 version of the day that you signed up. 365 days, or no, next year's not a leap year, so 365 days.
Great value.
Yep. And yes, and if you want to see us beyond just PODD videos and the midweek mailbag, you can come to Pine Knob Thursday night and watch 5 Seconds of Summer / Ryan Eat Some Nuggets / me in a mozzarella stick shirt. And be glued to Twitter for at least one photo of all of that. And if things keep going in this direction, onlyfans.com / Pride of Detroit. Nope. Cowboy hat's not happening. All right. You sure did, Zern Baby Zern, but we'll have to continue that again on Wednesday. So we'll see you guys.